SEC Network football presented by Dr. Pepper. A picture-perfect day here in South Florida. The beach is about 10 miles from us here at Hard Rock Stadium as number 16 Miami will take on and host Bethune Cookman from the SWAC. It is the homecoming of the prodigal son, Mario Cristobal, a two-time champion here at the University of Miami. And welcome into Hard Rock Stadium alongside Forrest Connolly. I'm George Sedano, the third member of our team. Marilyn Payne will join us in just a second. Forrest, Mario Cristobal is back, and that means the U is back to work.
Well, he's got the three intangibles that I think this university needs to be successful. Passion. He understands what it takes being a former UM player. Knowledge. He has been in this position. He's won championships. He has the knowledge to win, and trust. The players trust him. The administration trusts him. It's going to be interesting to see this Miami ball club as he puts his handprint on it.
Now, we know the coach and the quarterback are always aligned, and he's got a good one here in Tyler Van Dyke.
Well, I was on the field last year when they played against Florida State University, and this kid is huge. He looked me straight in the eyes, and the one thing I love about him, he's got a big arm. He's not scared to stand in the pocket. He stands tall. He can really spin it, and I'm not saying he's John Elway, but he reminds you of John Elway with that size, with that big arm. And one thing I love about him as well is when he's scrambling, when he gets outside of the pocket, he keeps his eyes down the field. And when you've got the talent that Miami possesses on the outside, that's a recipe for big play football. So he has to take that next step. Is he the next great Miami quarterback?
And now, for more on Tyler Van Dyke, let's welcome in the third member of our broadcast team, Marilyn Payne.
Loud leadership is the quarterback skill that Tyler Van Dyke says is the hardest for him. Mario Cristobal praises the work that his quarterback has put in to become better at that. Van Dyke says it shook me a little bit because I wasn't that guy last season. So this offseason he had to work day in and day out to develop relationships and be the loud leader at quarterback that Miami needs him to be here today.
Thank you, Maryland. Miami has won the toss, and they will defer. Forrest, what do you make of this Bethune-Cookman squad?
Well, they're recovering. They lost the recruiting cycle, so they've got a lot of transfers in. And one thing Coach Sims said, they're going to come out, they're going to compete. An interesting matchup is their tight end on the outside. Everett, he is a big kid. He's a Louisville transfer, and he can get down the field. He's one of the best tight ends, not only in FCS football, but in all of college football. So it's going to be interesting to see how Miami matches up, and I'd love to see that James Williams matchup we talked about.
Now, listen, you said you saw Tyler Van Dyke eye to eye. Kamari Averett, I could not see him eye to eye because he's way bigger than I am, but he is a load out there and unbelievably athletic. As well as Tyler Van Dyke, we will see. He's got a new crop of receivers this year. Doesn't have as many veterans as he had last season.
Well, he's got to be a leader. He's got to settle these young players in. He's got to let them know, tap them on the back if they miss a play, and let them know he believes in it.
Borregales with the kick, and it is in the end zone, and Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats, will begin their drive at the 25-yard line. For Bethune, a tough season last year, their first year in the SWAC. They were not able to play the 2020 season due to COVID and only had 30 days to prepare for a new conference last season.
And for a ball club that goes through that, it helps develop chemistry. It helps develop trust because they had to lean on one another to get through last season. So I think that's going to help this ball club in the long run.
Jalen Jones will start at quarterback. We may see all three quarterbacks for them. Marcus Riley on the boundary here. We're ready to get going here at Hard Rock Stadium. And flags already to start the first drive.
Number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Desmond Daniels, the big left tackle.
And as an offensive tackle playing on the left side, that's the most difficult side. You want to try and get an early kick step, but you've got to be patient. You've got to sit in your hips and believe in your ability to kick back when the ball is snapped.
First and 15 now for Bethune as they're backing up, going the wrong direction. Dump off, screen pass there to Quayshawn Bird, and he is wrapped up near the line of scrimmage.
And that's one of the things that Coach Sims and Coach Canales talked to us about when we had our coaches call. They said they want to get the ball to their athletes in space. They feel like that is where they match up really well against this Miami team. Speed against speed on the outside.
Cam Kitchens on the tackle for Miami there. Some confusion on the Bethune sideline there as Jordan Carty was trying to get on the field. There's Averett in motion. Handoff. Nope. Play action. Nice play there to Averett. Averett inside and beyond the 40-yard line there. And you see why they are going to throw a lot to him.
Well, you see what they're doing with the big tight end. They're moving him around. They want to try and get matchups. Now, what's interesting, you had a Bethune-Cookman player on the Miami side of the field. You saw him try to run in, and the official sent him back over, but he's on the Miami side of the field. So was he injured and no one really saw that and he came off on this side of the field?
It was Jordan Carty. We had mentioned that, and there was some confusion as to whether he should be on the field or not. He's the starting right tackle, and he's now walking towards the Bethune sideline.
I want to say he was injured, went off on the side and was trying to go to the Bethune sideline, and the officials sent him back over.
It looks like Coach Terry Sims is trying to plead his case in that regard. That gain, by the way, for Averett was 21 yards. We'll see if it stands because of the flags on the field.
Prior to the snap, illegal substitution in the offense. The offensive player went off on the defensive sideline. A 5-yard penalty, second down.
So there you go. Jordan Carty, as you mentioned, on the wrong side of the field. Got to be in the right neighborhood.
Yeah. You got to wonder. I don't know if I blame the kid on that play because he went to the sideline. You saw him, like I said, I want to know if he was just trying to get back over to the Bethune sideline, and maybe he should have let the officials know he was injured.
Yeah. So Bethune going the wrong direction here. They're now 2nd and 20 from the 15-yard line. So Jalen Jones in the gun. Handoff up the middle to Quayshawn Bird. Not much there. Perhaps a gain of 1.
Yeah, when you run against the middle of this Miami defense, you've got the big fella, Leonard Taylor, sitting right there waiting on you, 6'3", 305. You're not going to get through that young man very often.
Akeem Mesidor on the tackle there from Miami, the transfer from West Virginia. A lot of transfers on that defensive side for Miami. It is now 3rd and 18, so they'll give him 2 yards, Bird, on that particular carry. The crowd here, Miami, they're said to be close to 50,000 here for the opener. And another flag on the play, and this is not the start Coach Terry Sims for Bethune wanted.
False start, number 74, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
What Miami is doing defensively, they're walking linebackers up in the gap, so the quarterback has to stop and wait, and then they're dropping those linebackers out. So they're trying to decipher offensively what defensive look Miami is giving them. And if, as an offensive lineman, you've got to once again be patient, and it's about sitting in your hips and getting your reads and not jumping before the ball is snapped.
That's the 3rd penalty on this opening drive for Bethune. 3rd and 23 from their own 12-yard line. Here's Jones. Over the middle, and it's caught by Marcus Riley. He's at the 20. Still going. He's a speedster, and he gets the first down. A big play there by Bethune-Cookman. And the Wildcats trio of receivers in Riley, Reed, and Powell are all speedsters, and you see it right there.
Where they're beating Miami with the crossing routes. They're getting their speedsters out in space. And once again, this is the recipe that they came into this game trying to incorporate. Get their speed against Miami's speed.
A 24-yard gain there for Marcus Riley. Jalen Jones, once a Florida commit to Dan Mullen. Here he is over the middle again, and he connects over the middle. A nice move there by the wide receiver, number 8, Dylan Lee. Another first down, and now Bethune, despite the strange start, is moving the football.
Well, they've got confidence. And if you're going to be competitive, the first thing that you have to have is confidence. And you're seeing that build with this Bethune offense. People forget Jalen Jones is a big quarterback at 6'4". He can see over the top of this defense.
And again, a former Florida commit to Dan Mullen, as I just mentioned, was at Jackson State, Mississippi Delta in between, and now here at Bethune-Cookman. And he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the 44. Handoff up the middle, over to the left side, Quayshawn Bird. He'll pick up 3 yards. Wayman Steed with the tackle for Miami. So if you're Miami, that secondary, which Kevin Steele, their defensive coordinator, told us he liked them, they're going to have their hands full with this receiving group today.
Well, it depends on the defensive line. I think the defensive line has to get pressure to try and make Jones release the football earlier than he wants to.
Here's a blitz, but Jones is able to get the ball out there again to Dylan Lee at the 30, 25, still going down the sidelines, and he's near the 10-yard line and down there, and the Wildcats are in business here early on.
And I want you to watch number 6, Jimmy Robinson, on this play. He makes a key block on the outside to allow Lee to get to the edge and get up the field and get about 15 additional yards. Those small intangibles are what you need if you're going to play winning football.
Harrison Hunt on the tackle for Miami down the field, a 28-yard gain for the Wildcats. So they're in the red zone now. Ball on the 13-yard line. Jones in the gun. Hand up the middle. Bird gets a couple of yards there.
What's interesting, they're in the red zone. When you've got a big quarterback like Jalen Jones, a lot of times teams like to get in the gun, spread you out, and then run quarterback draw because you've got the defender spread out. If you've got a big quarterback like Jones, you can get to the end zone. So it'll be interesting to see the play calling as they're down close to Miami's goal line.
Here's Jones, 2nd and 7. They can still get a first down at the 3-yard line. Reed in motion. Here's Jones on the quarterback keeper, and he is taken down behind the line of scrimmage. So Miami gets their first sack. Leonard Taylor with the pressure there.
And that's the keeper I was talking about, but I'd like to see them go 4 wides. Spread that defense out a little bit. Make them think that they're going with the passing game. And if you're Jones, take another millisecond, allow the play to develop. I thought he went prematurely on that play, on that draw play. Let it develop. Let your linemen get their fix.
Jones on this drive, 4 of 4 for 72 yards. 3rd down here. Jones with plenty of time in the pocket now, escapes the pocket. He's on the run, lofts it for Averett. Incomplete. Averett could not haul it in the end zone. 4th down coming up. Wayman Steed in coverage there.
And a good job by Jones, keeping his eyes down the field as he broke contain, and Averett just could not squeeze the football. A good play by the defender on the outside. Wayman Steed to get that hand in there and knock that ball loose. But if you're Bethune, you've got to feel good about this first drive. They drove it right down the field. There weren't many negative plays, and they responded to adversity after that long play was called back.
No question about that. A 29-yard field goal attempt by Dylan Magadan. The snap is down, the kick is up, and it is good. So a quick strike as Bethune-Cookman and the Wildcats are up here in Miami, 3-0. So Bethune-Cookman strikes first, an 11-play drive, 63 yards, and just over 6 minutes off the clock there, Forrest. What do you make of that Miami defense?
Well, there's some questions that need to be answered. One, the linebackers, and that was a big question coming into this ball game for Miami. Are their linebackers prepared to be great linebackers? When you come from a school that produced great linebackers like Morgan, like Lewis, like Smith, like Barrow, like Armstead, like Perryman, I mean, and then the list goes on and on and on. It's such a high standard. So I think that's one of the big questions defensively. what can that linebacking core do? And I need to see more pressure from the Miami defensive line.
Miami fields the kickoff, and they're off and running. Keyshawn Smith down the sidelines, a foot race, and gets taken down at the 30-yard line. A huge return, 70 yards, and the Canes are back in business quickly.
That is exactly what the doctor ordered. You see, he almost stepped out of bounds, but he did a good job of following his blocks. There's a key block right here at the end, right there. I thought that could have been called a block in the back on number 8. Miami got away with one because Devontre Hampton had position to make a play, but it's a great start for special teams. Now, let's see offensively, can Miami capitalize on the great field position?
So Tyler Van Dyke out there in the gun, Henry Parrish behind him. Hand off to Parrish on the left side. Parrish got room to run, dancing there, makes a couple of guys miss, and gets down to the 20-yard line near the first down marker. Amari Jones on the tackle there for the Wildcats. So a good start there for Miami on their first run. Tyler Van Dyke on the Heisman list. He's on one of the all-ACC teams. He was a guy that last year was virtually unknown and then just burst onto the scene. So second and short here. Van Dyke throws over the middle and incomplete. Intended for his tight end, Will Mallory.
And a good job by the Bethune defense, staying on top of the receivers, not giving Van Dyke a lot of places to go with the football. He tried to squeeze it in. That's a good job defensively.
If you're Miami here, I would imagine you'll see them try to establish the run and then get that cohesion going with this receiver group that Van Dyke is not as used to. Handoff up the middle. There's Parrish. Still going, gets the first down and then some, as he's down at the 13-yard line. An 8-yard gain for Parrish, and Miami is in the red zone.
Well, you're seeing push at the point of attack. A good job by the Miami offensive linemen to engage, disengage, and get up to the second-level defenders and cover up those linebackers.
So first and 10 from the 12, they'll call it. Handoff up the middle to Parrish. Parrish still going inside the 5-yard line. Rayon Blake on the tackle for the Wildcats, and Miami's knocking on the door.
Well, if you're Miami, this is what you expect. You expect to win in the trenches. They've got a 52-pound weight difference across the board with their offensive line against this Bethune defensive line. So this is where you dig in. This is where you think about hitting the sled. This is where you keep a flat back. This is where you get that second foot down when you make contact with the defender.
Thaddeus Franklin checks in, and he gets right in the game and into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami, and the Mario Cristobal era is off and running.
And Thaddeus Franklin at 6 feet, 240 pounds, he runs behind his pads, and he's able to basically walk into the end zone because of the great blocking at the point of attack.
5 plays, 4 runs for Miami, 1 pass. And they get 6 on the board. Here's Borregales, Miami's kicker. Snap is down, kick is up, and it is good. And just like that, in under 2 minutes, Miami gets on the board as Thad Franklin gets him in the end zone. We'll be back from Hard Rock Stadium in just a moment.
ACC Network College Football is presented by delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
The Miami fans piling in for the first game here. The return of Mario Cristobal. You see him there, Forrest. He's an intense dude. We got a chance to talk to him this week, and he's got to have tons of emotion this week.
Well, that had to be an awesome experience for him, making that walk. He's made so many times as a player, walking into a University of Miami football game. Now he's walking in as the head guy in charge to lead this team back to what they used to be. That's got to be great for him and for this Miami University football team.
I'm sure he's happy now that the offense put up some points too. Here's the kickoff by Borregales. It'll land in the end zone, and the Wildcats will begin their second drive on the 25-yard line. So for the Wildcats, we've got flags on the play as some extracurricular activities going on there after the kickoff.
And that's expected. You've got a lot of kids that played high school football together. You've got an FCS program that gets an opportunity to prove themselves against the big boys. So you expect to have some emotion in a game like this.
Oh, absolutely. As you mentioned, a lot of these kids with Bethune-Cookman being located in Daytona Beach, there's a lot of kids from Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct fouls on both teams. Number 9, Bethune-Cookman. Number 11 on Miami. Those penalties canceled. It'll be 1st and 10 for Bethune-Cookman.
So there you have it. Offsetting penalties. So no harm, no foul, Forrest.
And I like that. You know, you understand it's the first game of the season. Emotions are flying, so I like that the officials didn't, make it a drastic penalty.
Caleb Sutherland on one end and Corey Flagg on the other with those offsetting penalties. So Jimmy Robinson checks in now in the backfield for the Wildcats. Here's Jalen Jones again. In trouble, steps up into the pocket. He takes off, picks up a couple of yards, and makes something out of nothing there with a 4-yard gain. Tackle there made by Elijah Roberts for Miami. So now both backs are in the backfield. Quayshawn Bird and Jimmy Robinson. We'll see a lot of them. They've got a lot of speed, and they can do a lot with the ball, particularly in the pass game as well. Jones keeps it again. Here on the edge. Trying to get there, cannot. And maybe about a half-yard gain there for Jalen Jones.
And I think for Bethune, it's going to be very difficult to get to the edge of this Miami defense. They've got speed on the outside. I think for them to be successful, they need to look to be north and south or get the ball to your playmakers as they are moving.
And we saw that in that first drive.
Absolutely. Crossing routes, coming with jet sweep action, getting the ball to your playmakers in motion.
So 3rd down and 6 here. Jimmy Robinson, the lone back in the backfield. Jalen Jones in the gun. There's the big fella, Averett in motion. Jones in the pocket, gets hit as he throws. It's up for grabs, and it is picked off by Miami. Picked off by number 24, Cam Kitchens. But we have a flag on the play.
He slammed the ball down, spiked the ball after he made the interception out of excitement. And you've got to be weary of the officials being around you. And I think that's why they're going to call that penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct. But a great play by the defender to get across, get his body under the football and squeeze the ball. But you see him spike the ball at the end of the play. I think that's why they called the flag. But a great interception.
The pass was intended for Dakari Allen Johnson.
The result of the play was an interception. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 24, Miami, his first of the game. 15-yard penalty, 1st and 10, Miami.
But you talked about the emotions just a moment ago, and that's the emotions right there.
And for the officials, come on. He's not slamming the ball in a Bethune-Cookman player's face. He's on his sideline. There are just so many factors to me that say don't throw the penalty on that play. Give him a warning, but don't throw the penalty. If he's on Bethune's sideline or he slams it in the Bethune player's face, I get it. But for that, come on.
Here's Van Dyke now. Plenty of time, throws over the middle, and it is caught by Henry Parrish Jr., the running back. Pickup there of 6 yards. Here's the play again.
Once again, here's a kid made an interception first game. Boom, slams it down. He's looking at his players. He isn't paying attention to the Bethune player. He's not on their sideline. He said nothing to the player.
And by the way, an incredible interception.
Absolutely.
So they'll give him 7. on that play. Play action for Van Dyke. Backpedaling, throws it, caught. Nice catch there by Henry Parrish Jr. Again, the tailback picks up the first down.
And a good job by Van Dyke getting the first down, not trying to get too much. I thought he had some other opportunities vertically, but you want to get the first down. You're a little bit deep, in your own territory, so you do want to continue to make positive plays.
A 7-yard gain there from Miami. Ball on the 38-yard line of the Canes. A little offset eye. You don't see that very often in college football anymore. Handoff to Thad Franklin, who tries to bounce it to the outside. He stays on his feet, still going. He's in Wildcat territory and picks up another first down. Jaquan Jackson on the tackle for the Wildcats.
And I love this big kid. 6 foot, 240 pounds. You see the bounce, you see the jump step, you see the quickness, you see the power to get out of an arm tackle. Reminds you of one of those old Miami backs, Donnell Bennett, with the way that he runs the football. It doesn't look like he's moving fast, but he is getting down the field.
Franklin stays in the game in the backfield. He's to the right of Van Dyke. Hands it off again to Franklin. Cuts inside, picks up a couple there. 2-yard gain for Franklin. Amari Jones on the tackle for the Wildcats. Second down coming up.
And once again, for Miami, we know that Tyler Van Dyke is a great passer. That's been established, but they've got to establish a rushing attack, so I like what I'm seeing right now, running the football.
Well, and if you think about it, when Mario Cristobal was at Miami, you mentioned Donnell Bennett, Larry Jones. Go even more recent, Clinton Portis, McGahee, those teams that won a championship, they control the ball on the ground. Here's Van Dyke with a reverse to Brashard Smith. He rounds the corner. He gets near the sticks. So a solid gain there, a gain of 6. Devontre Hampton with the tackle for the Wildcats.
Well, I thought that was a good job by the Bethune defense to stretch that play out to allow pursuit to get there. They never allowed him to plant that foot, Smith, and get north and south like he would have liked to.
So 3rd and 2 for Miami here. Pistol formation. And off to Parrish, cut back, gets the first down, and Miami will keep their drive alive there with a 5-yard gain. Henry Parrish Jr. and Thaddeus Franklin keeping the chains moving.
And what you want to look for when you're watching this Miami offensive line in this run game is flat back. You also want to see that second foot get down when they make contact with the defender.
Here's Van Dyke. Clean pocket, throws towards the sideline. It's caught there by Ladson. Ladson at the 25, near the 20-yard line. Enough for a first down, so Miami keeps the chains moving again. Jaquan Jackson with the tackle for the Wildcats, a 14-yard gain.
And right now, Miami seems to be in a rhythm. Bethune, I think they're giving too much cushion to the receivers. They understand it. There's speed on the outside, but you've got to get up and you've got to believe in your ability and in your technique. You can't give that cushion or Miami will continue to pitch and catch it all the way down the field.
Frank Ladson, a Clemson transfer, with the catch there. And off up the middle to Franklin. Moves the pile a bit there. So a nice gain there for Franklin, and Parrish will check back in to the backfield. .90 seconds left here in the first quarter. Miami trying to strike again. Van Dyke on this drive, 3 of 3 for 29 yards.
And watch Restrepo, number 7, in the slot.
Him and Van Dyke roommates. They do everything together, according to Coach Cristobal. Here's Van Dyke, dumps it off to Parrish. Parrish with plenty of room at the 10, at the 5, tripped up there. Another first down for Miami. 1st and goal coming up. Andreas Wyatt with the tackle for the Wildcats.
And the Miami offense seems to be in a really good rhythm right now. Van Dyke knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. A good job on the outside with the block. That is what you're looking for from your offensive lineman. Get a pad on pads.
Pistol formation for Miami. Handoff up the middle to Parrish. Parrish gets in the end zone for a touchdown. The second touchdown for Miami, the second on the ground, and they take a 10-point lead against the Wildcats. We do have an injury as well, it looks like. Ja'Kai Clark, the center, kind of limping there. The training staff is coming out. But a touchdown there for Henry Parrish Jr., the transfer from Ole Miss.
And a common theme on this entire drive as they ran the football effectively is you saw Bethune-Cookman players going backwards. Pad under pad. Great job by the Miami offensive line to get lower pads and be able to uproot those defensive players. When you're down on the goal line, when you're in short yardage, you're basically bear crawling. You've got to get pads under pads. You've got to get beneath the defender and uproot them.
And that's what Mario Cristobal wants. It's what he was as an offensive lineman. If you look at his Oregon team, they were very strong along the offensive line, one of the better offensive lines in the country. And obviously when he was an assistant at Alabama and previously at the University of Miami, that was certainly an emphasis.
And I know I've often said throughout the broadcast, get that second foot down. When I say that, if you have your second foot up in the air and you make contact, you have no balance on one foot. When you've got 2 feet down, you've got balance and power.
Ja'Kai Clark walking off mostly on his own power. So that's good to see the big fella, the center, coming off the field on his own power.
He's one of the veterans on this offensive line. 31 career starts coming into this ball game.
So Miami will kick the extra point. Jonathan Dennis is the backup center. He's a transfer from Oregon, was with Coach Cristobal previously. 10 plays, 6 runs, 4 passes on that last drive for Miami, culminating in a touchdown. Borregales with the kick. It is up and good. So Miami starting to take control on the ground and have taken control of this game. An 11-point lead for the Canes. Coming up at 8 Eastern, we cap the day with Louisville and Syracuse at the Dome. Available on the ESPN app so you can watch anywhere. And coming up at 6:30 Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will be back to wrap up the afternoon's games with highlights, breakdowns, and interviews with players and coaches. We'll also have a full preview of Louisville and Syracuse, the 8 o'clock game. Then after that, Cards and Orange will be back to wrap up the night right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Borregales with the kick as Miami's up 11 here. Near the end of the first quarter, goes through the end zone, so Bethune-Cookman will begin their third drive on their 25-yard line. So Forrest, Miami a little shaky defensively that first drive, and seems like they have found their footing on that side of the ball.
Well, I didn't like that Bethune came in with a different quarterback to start that second drive. I thought what Jones did in that first drive, you keep him in every play, continue to build upon what you did to get those 3 points on the board. I understand they want to do some things to make the Miami defense think, but you were doing a really good job with quarterback one in there, so I like the idea of keeping him in.
Jones in the gun. Jimmy Robinson splits out wide, the running back. Jones over the middle, finds his playmaker, and it is a catch and completion to Dylan Lee, a first down for Bethune-Cookman, more of what we saw with the crossing routes earlier.
And one thing that has become obvious, Bethune-Cookman can play with Miami on the outside. If they can block these defenders at the point of attack, Jones has shown an ability to get the ball to his playmakers. Quick
pass to the boundary there. And Dylan Lee again, making a couple of guys miss, pick up of about 6 yards.
And one of the things we knew coming into this ball game, a lot of attention would be paid to Everett. So you would have opportunities for your speedsters on the outside. But right now, with the speedsters getting what they're getting done, it's going to be interesting how Everett can make himself a bigger factor in this offense as we continue to push forward.
We'll see if Everett plays a factor. More coming up in a moment. Welcome back to Hard Rock Stadium. The Miami Hurricanes leading Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats from Daytona Beach, 14-3 as we get ready to begin the second quarter. So Bethune-Cookman will have the ball here. They've been able to move the ball pretty well here offensively for us. But before that, let's go to Maryland, who's got an update on Ja'Kai Clark, the center for Miami.
Ja'Kai Clark had both ankles taped when he came off the field after the last Miami touchdown drive, testing the right and the left, but in particular the right ankle up out of a three-point stance, how he could move. So when Miami does get the ball back, we'll keep an eye on him. Important position for the Canes.
Thank you, Maryland. Absolutely. The center, no doubt. The center of the universe on offense.
Absolutely. He touches the ball every play, and he has to make sure the quarterback gets the ball every play.
Jalen Jones swings it out to Marcus Riley. And Riley near the sticks there. We'll see if it's enough for a first down. Looks like he'll be about 1.5 yards shy. No, actually about a half a yard shy, as they move the spot there again. And there's an injury on the field at the moment for Bethune-Cookman. Antoine Wells, the left guard. And you hate to see that, obviously. Let's check on him when we come back, as he's with the training staff. More from Hard Rock Stadium in a moment. Welcome back to Hard Rock Stadium. Miami leading by 11 here early in the second quarter. ACC PM is ACC Network's new afternoon studio show. Mark Packer hosted along with former Tar Heel football standout Trey Boston and former Seminole Taylor Tannenbaum. They'll focus on football, but we'll also have the latest from around the conference. ACC PM weekdays from 4 to 7 Eastern. It's all right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. 3rd and 1 here for Bethune-Cookman. Riley in motion. Handoff up the middle to Jimmy Robinson. It's going to be close. It'll depend on the spot here. Gilbert Frierson with the tackle for Miami at the star position. We may get the chain gang coming out here. No, they held. It's going to be 4th down and a decision here for Bethune.
I don't think it's a decision. I think you go for it. You're moving the ball very well. I thought they got a little bit cute on that play, moving everybody in motion, everything to the right side of the formation and trying to run back against the left where you did not have an abundance of players. I thought if you're going to run the football, line up in the I formation, play grown man football, tear your line, get me a yard.
And they decided to punt. And Coach Terry Sims wants a timeout. By the way, Antoine Wells still on the sidelines. Kyler Edwards replaced him along the offensive line at guard for the Wildcats. All right, we're going to take another break here as we get this all sorted out from the Wildcats sideline. Miami up 11 here at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a history of the coaches here at the U. Howard Schnellenberger got it all kicked off. First championship win against Nebraska at the Orange Bowl. Then Jimmy Johnson, the inventor of swagger at the U, won a championship himself. Dennis Erickson, 2 championships for him. Butch Davis resurrected the program after sanctions, then left to the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. And Larry Coker, his OC, took over as head coach and won a championship as well, the 5th championship for Miami. Now Mario Cristobal, who played for Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, and was on the staff with Larry Coker, is the head coach at the University of Miami, a 2-time champion coming from Oregon. And here's the first punt of the day by Benjamin Lennon. Xavier Restrepo to field it, and he gets it, but a flag on the play, as there might have been somebody a little too close to him as he received it at the 15-yard line.
And I'm still trying to figure out why they punted the football. I mean, if you're going to take a timeout, you take that timeout because you're going to run a play to try to get the first down. If you don't have the right punt formation,
Kick catch interference. Number 8 on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
Or you don't have the right personnel in the ball game, take the 5-yard penalty.
All right, let's go down to Maryland with more on Cristobal.
The fundamentals of different formations are the #1 thing Mario Cristobal emphasized coming into this game 1 as head coach here in Miami. He said it's boring, and I know it's boring, but if we don't have that foundation of the right fundamentals in place, nothing else will matter or be any fun.
No question, Maryland. He is a guy that wants to keep it simple at the beginning, and then as time went by during camp, spring and fall, he threw a lot at those kids, but it was about getting the proper technique down first. Here's Van Dyke, play action. Plenty of time. Has a man open. Restrepo catches the ball in Wildcat territory, and he's on the run. He's still going and falls down, tripped up by the turf monster at the 10-yard line. A monster play from Tyler Van Dyke to his roommate, Xavier Restrepo. They do everything together, and clearly they do a lot of pitch and catching as well.
Well, perfect pass by Van Dyke. And you see Restrepo, he to me is their Braxton Berrios type. They want him to be that type of player for this offense.
A 62-yard gain there from Van Dyke to Restrepo. Here's Parrish, gets the ball up the middle, still going, gets inside the 10-yard line.
And right now, you're starting to see this offense click. They're finding their rhythm, they're finding their way. A good job once again by the offensive line, getting pushed at the point of attack, getting low pads, getting a flat back, getting that second foot down.
We have another injury here for Bethune. Let's step away for a moment as we find out if the young man is okay. We'll be back. Hard Rock Stadium with Miami leading in just a moment.
Jordan Cornette with your Fansville studio update. And this game between App State and UNC, wild. Late in the game, Chase Bryce to Caden Robinson, 19-second drive, making it 63-61. A two-point conversion for the tie. Chase Bryce on the keeper, and no, Carolina holds on to win. Back to my guy, George.
Thanks, JC. Miami with an 11-point lead here. 2nd and 1 coming up. Pistol formation for the Canes. Handoff up the middle. They'll pick up the first down. Henry Parrish Jr. with a short gain there, but 1st and goal for Miami.
But if you coach Mario, you want to see a little bit more movement from that offensive line down in the red zone. Being a former offensive lineman, I know he concentrates on them often. And you look at technique, you need to see better technique. Let's see if they fire off the football.
Here's Van Dyke in the gun. Hands off again to Parrish off the left side. Parrish makes a man miss and gets in the end zone again. His 2nd touchdown of the game. Henry Parrish Jr., a 6-yard run, and he puts Miami up by 17.
And number 15, Demetrius Hudson, has an opportunity to make a big play, but you've got to wrap him up. You cannot arm tackle a young man like Parrish who's quick. You see right here, you've got to wrap him up. You can't reach out there. You've got to wrap him up because Parrish is quick and he's able to get to the outside, and you saw that quickness and that ability to get to the end zone.
Borregales with the extra point. The kick is up and good. And Henry Parrish with 2 touchdowns today. And for more on Henry Parrish Jr., here's Maryland.
It certainly didn't show on that drive, but Parrish, after his first touchdown, was waxed. He was begging for water from every member of this Miami staff. The Ole Miss transfer getting acclimated to the South Florida Heat. He won the starting running back job because Josh Gaddis said he is so versatile. He'll run inside the tackles, outside the tackles. He catches the ball well, and we've seen all of that here today. That's what Parrish has his confidence in as well. He's the do-it-all guy, he said, and I'm here so Miami can be back to work.
Thank you, Maryland. Miami's 2nd TD drive of 5 plays or less. The quick strike offense has been working for them, Forrest.
Absolutely. You get your ball to your playmakers. You allow them to make plays on the outside. I like what I'm seeing so far offensively. You've got your thumper in Franklin, and you've got Parrish, your speed guy that can get to the edge and get up the field.
So the Canes will kick off here with a 18-point lead here at home. Plenty of time here in the 2nd quarter. You see the numbers there for Parrish Jr. and Thaddeus Franklin. Parrish Jr., as you heard Maryland say, an Ole Miss transfer.
And one of the things Coach Mario said that I really liked, he said, look, we've got to put the hype aside. This is the 2022 Miami Hurricanes. Let's get to work. I love that passion, and I love that statement by Coach Mario.
And Borregales kicks it through the end zone. So another drive that will begin at the 25-yard line for Bethune-Cookman. And the other part of it is interesting because I asked Mario Cristobal for a feature that we're going to air on College Game Day in a couple weeks when they play Texas A&M, and I asked him about, everyone always talks about the U being back. And he said, look, what we say is the U is back to work.
Absolutely. And once again, there's that trust there. They believe in him. They understand he knows what it takes. Here's a guy that has been Coach of the Year. He's been a Recruiter of the Year. He's been at big-time programs, whether it's here at Miami or whether it's at the University of Alabama. So he's seen it all and done it all.
Quarterback change here for the Wildcats. Tyrone Franklin, TJ as they call him, drops back, throws it to the boundary, incomplete, intended for Aaron Thompson. So 2nd and 10 coming up.
And a good pass by Franklin. You just have to take a little bit off that football. I know the energy is there. You're in the game. You're playing at the University of Miami against the Miami Hurricanes, so there's a lot of emotion right now for him. But just take a little bit off that football.
So here's TJ Franklin. Play action and intercepted! Intercepted by Miami. Gilbert Frierson down the sidelines and into the end zone with a caravan of canes for the touchdown. A pick 6 for Miami, and they extend their lead to 27-3 as Gilbert Frierson takes it to the house. A 31-yard pick 6 for the Canes.
And that is the danger of putting another quarterback in the ball game. He is not familiar with what the defense is doing. He can see it from the sideline, but if you can't be out there and feel it, you don't know where the defenders are coming from. A great job on the outside by number 90, Akeem Mesidor, to get up and tip that football. And we know all defenses play tip drill, and when the ball is in the air, it's an opportunity to make a play. And you see right there another great play by this Miami defense.
Borregales with the extra point. It is up and good. And Miami is rolling now, a 28-3 lead, and there's still 11:50 to go in the second quarter.
And George, I go back to that 4th down where they had an opportunity to go for it on 4th and 1. You've got to take every opportunity like that in a ball game like this. If you don't get it, okay, that's fine, but you're playing to win the game.
You preferred the Wildcats be more aggressive on that play, and then Coach Terry Sims called the timeout. You thought at that point that they were going to go for it.
They're definitely going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
If you're gonna punt the ball, then you just tell, and you don't have the right personnel in, you tell your team, hey, just take the 5-yard penalty, and then we'll punt the football when we get the right personnel in the game. To me, you wasted a timeout. I thought that was an opportunity to continue what we were seeing offensively from this team, but then also you go with the new quarterback. And I thought that took away from what we saw offensively as well, because Jones looks very comfortable when he's out there. We don't see those crossing routes, and they haven't went to Averett in a while now.
Yeah, and we had talked to the coaching staff with the Wildcats, and they said they were going to feed him early and often, and we have not really seen him outside of that first drive. Borregales with the kick into the end zone, fielded and taken a knee by Dees. Miami 3 touchdowns in less than 4 minutes of play here. Bethune-Cookman finds itself in the eye of the storm at the moment for us.
Well, it's getting away from them. And hopefully they can find a way to get back to that offensive scheme they were running early in the game. Those crossing routes, get some jet motion action. Get it to your playmakers in motion. They've shown that they can play on the outside speed-wise with this Miami defensive backfield. But you've got to get it to the playmakers to allow them to make plays.
So Tyrone Franklin, TJ Franklin as they call him, checks back in at quarterback. We were told we could see up to 3 quarterbacks today in Jones, Franklin, and Simmons for the Wildcats. Handoff up the middle. Aaron Thompson, short gain there, about 2. Tackle made by Corey Flagg, the middle linebacker. And we got a movement there along the line. Everybody's pointing fingers at the moment.
That's exactly what you do as an offensive lineman. He encouraged me to come up off the line.
What was that like when you were there and Coach Bobby Bowden saw you jump off sides when you were with the Seminoles?
Those 5 stadiums on Monday night. That's what that was like.
So the referees are having a conversation about this, and the Bethune group is saying that it was Miami.
Play game. Distance 30 signals on the defense. Number 6. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And that is on Darrell Jackson, the transfer from Maryland.
And what that means is you've got a defender that will make noises to simulate the snap count, and they'll do things to pull the offensive lineman off sides. You cannot do that. You cannot do anything that simulates the snap count for the quarterback.
So, second down and 4 here for the Wildcats. And another flag on the play. A false start, it looks like, against Bethune-Cookman.
False start. Number 70. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
So they gave that yardage right back.
And that's the second time number 70 has jumped off sides at that left tackle position. Once again, people have to realize that's one of the most difficult positions in football, and you want to get an early step when you've got a speed rusher on the outside.
Desmond Daniels there on that flag. Here's Franklin in the gun. 4 receivers out there. Handoff up the middle, and Miami stuffs it there. Leonard Taylor amongst several Canes. Mesidor, Jackson, all in on that.
And on that play, Mesidor is not blocked. And you've got number 90. He's a speed guy on the outside. Although 280 pounds, he has speed to get up the field. And when nobody's blocking him, he's going to be able to make that tackle from the side. You've got to put a body on a body. You cannot leave him free.
Keith Mesidor, transfer from West Virginia. Miami did a lot in the transfer portal from spring to fall. 3rd and 8 here for Franklin, who's in the gun. Davino Ellington in motion. Franklin in trouble, rolling out of the pocket. He's going to take off and run. He's got the first down and then some, and out of bounds inside the 40-yard line to the 41.
An interesting thing on that play, the Miami coaches were calling for an offsides because number 70, Desmond Daniels, got off the line prematurely once again, but the officials let that one go. But you see, he's trying to get back because of the pass rush ability of this Miami defense on the outside. So we've got to watch him throughout the rest of this ball game because the officials will be taking a look at him getting off too early.
A 14-yard gain there for Franklin. Quayshawn Bird checks back in the backfield for the Wildcats. And he'll take it. Up the middle, breaks through, and he's in Canes territory, and he's still going. There's a flag on the play. He's racing down the sideline and pushed out of bounds inside the 15-yard line near the 10. Darrell Porter pushes him out of bounds, but we've got a flag on the play, a 44-yard gain if it stands.
Legal block in the back. Number 7 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And you see why he was able to break free.
But you saw the Miami defenders couldn't find him because he was behind those big offensive linemen, and he was patient on that run. When he saw lane, he was able to get through it. Watch.
Here it is. Oh, that's an easy call.
Absolutely. And it's a play that you don't have to make. He had the first down at that point. He's at a position where he's going to fall forward for the first down.
Yeah, Darrell Powell there with the infraction. So first down and 10, ball on the first down and 7, actually. Ball on the 43-yard line of the Wildcats. And Bird again. This time he's wrapped up. Tons of Canes there to make that tackle.
Well, what Miami's doing a really good job from the defensive tackle position is they're getting up the field, and they're forcing the Bethune backs to plant their feet and try to get to the outside because there's nowhere between the tackles to run the football. And Miami has such great speed on the outside, they're not able to get to the edge.
So a loss of 2 on the play. It'll be 9 yards to go here, 2nd and 9. Pistol formation. Now the running back moves to the left of the quarterback. And flag with the pressure here, Miami, but Franklin escapes. And he takes off, and he's got the first down and then some at the 40, 35, and out of bounds inside the 35-yard line. And TJ Franklin, the coaches have been raving about him in regards to his instincts, and you see why there.
Well, Franklin did a good job. He saw the pressure immediately at the snap of the football by flag, and he's able to break contain, get to the outside, and then get up the field. A good job. When you walk linebackers up into the gap, you leave an opening at the second level of your defense. So when Franklin was able to get around the edge and get north and south, there's no one there to make a defensive play.
First down and 10 on the 37-yard line of the Canes. Wildcats moving the ball. Franklin, an errant situation there, and he takes off and decides to slide. The snap was not ideal, and he just made the best of a bad situation there and is able to pick up 4 yards.
Well, Franklin looks gassed. You know, he had that big run on the previous play, and you saw right there he had to get the football first, get possession of the football. He had immediate pressure. Once again, he's able to spin out. He got as many yards as he could, and he got down, so he didn't have to take any unnecessary hit.
Smart play, especially considering that thing could have been disastrous with the snap. He was able to catch that, stab it with his left hand. So 2nd and 7 here from the 34-yard line of Miami. Another tough snap. Pressure coming, and he almost throws an interception there.
And he's slow getting up right now. I think the coaching staff need to look at possibly bringing Jones back in right now. You know, I don't know if Franklin's hurt or he's just tired right now, but he's getting hit on every play. They're getting pressure. Miami's not sitting back. They're bringing linebackers. They're bringing pressure. They're not allowing him to set his feet.
Keontre Smith, the linebacker, almost came up with the shoestring interception there. It is the 9th play of the drive for the Wildcats here. 3rd and 7. Ball on the 34-yard line. And we've got a timeout, it looks like, for Bethune-Cookman. They want to talk it over. All right, let's take a quick break. Bethune-Cookman threatening here as they trail 28-3 at Hard Rock Stadium.
Welcome back to Hard Rock Stadium. Number 16, Miami leading Bethune-Cookman 28-3. Defense looking to make a play here with facing 3rd and 7. Linebacker Corey Flagg Jr. said that the way that this staff has taught Kevin Steele's defense has made the transition so smooth. He said it wasn't hard. The coaches made it so easy by breaking down the specific groupings and the specific alignments that we needed to have so clearly and so simply that it made it really easy to pick up. Now, he himself asks top-level defensive questions. He says he asks 5 to Coach Steele every single day, and Steele says that those are the type of questions that he's only ever heard from guys in the SEC he previously coached who are all now playing or have played in the NFL. He says Flagg does not give himself enough credit for the way he learned this defense. Coach Steele says he sees it throughout the defense as well, though, so let's see if they can show it.
He did call him persistent when we chatted with him. That was the word he used, Maryland. Great job there. And he's also said that the linebacking group has come a long way from spring ball.
And when I asked him, I said, Coach, what do you want to see? I want to see them tackle the guy with the ball.
Yeah, he said, what are your expectations for the linebackers was your question. He said, tackle the guy with the ball and knock him backwards.
Yes.
Here's Jalen Jones is back at the game for the Wildcats at quarterback. Jones finds Quayshawn Bird at the 30, down the sideline, easy pitch and catch and touchdown for the Wildcats. A blown coverage there, 34-yard touchdown for Bethune-Cookman, and they are back in this one.
There's that guy again, Jalen Jones. Leave him in the ball game. He understands the defensive concepts that Miami is showing them, and he has been picking them apart when he's had an opportunity.
We have an unconventional setup here.
Well, what they do with that is they want to see if the defense reacts. If the defense doesn't react, they'll snap the ball to the holder. He'll throw it out to the running back or whatever the skill position is behind the line, and they'll run in and get a 2-point conversion.
And now Miami's going to call timeout here. So they didn't love the look that they got. Bethune-Cookman's offense, it's their 5th play of 20 yards or more, so they're getting the big chunk plays today.
Well, one thing I see once again when Jalen Jones is in the football game, he's a big kid. He can see over the offensive line. He can see what's going on, and he seems to have a grasp of the defensive scheme that they're running because he's doing a good job passing the football down the field. He looks really, really comfortable out there.
Yeah, he does. There's no doubt. So I'm sure Coach Cristobal and Coach Kevin Steele, who we were just discussing a moment ago with Maryland, they're going to want to have a little conversation about how Quayshawn Byrd got that open. So there was pressure on the play and nobody to contain Byrd once he got out of the backfield. So here's the extra point. Dylan Magadon. No, they're back in the formation again. They're going to test them again.
Well, if they get the advantage on the outside, they'll snap the ball, get it over to number 39.
Marcus Riley, by the way, played quarterback, both for Bethune-Cookman and in high school. He's a wide receiver, and he's also the holder here. So Magadon will attempt the extra point. Bad snap, the kick is up, and it's good. So Bethune-Cookman gets within 18 points with just over 6.5 to play in the first half. We've seen some amazing fans across the ACC, and now we need your help. This fall, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic or a video and tag it with the hashtag #AllTheDevotion, hashtag #AllTheDevotion, and post it to your social. You just might see it on ACC Network. How about you? You gonna do that, big fella?
Absolutely.
All the devotion?
Absolutely. I'm a team player.
Let's go. So Miami will get the ball back here. Still plenty of time. But Miami's offense has been rolling as well. After a little bit of a shaky start, they have been firing on all cylinders. So Xavier Restrepo and Keyshawn Smith back to receive.
Well, I think Bethune-Cookman has to find a way to get pressure on Van Dyke. If you let him stand back there in the pocket, he will pick you apart.
That he will. We saw that last year. You saw it firsthand. They lost that game, but that Florida State game, he was slinging it all over the field.
The second half, I was as a Florida State fan watching that game from Florida State sideline. I was really concerned because he did a great job, and I saw the coaching staff react.
Nikolai Daniels with the kick into the end zone. There's a flag on the play. And Miami, as I mentioned, rolling on all cylinders here.
Well, you see, once again, they're able to get pushed at the point of attack and an easy score for Parrish on that play. And then once again, getting to the outside, you see the speed and the elusiveness, and then you get the ball to your playmaker. And right here, defensively, here we go. You put a new quarterback in the football game, you get a tip pass, and you get a defensive score for Miami. So I think that is where the turning point was. Once again, you've got to go for that 4th and 1. You can't, give up. You've got to try and take every opportunity that presents itself because you're not going to get many of them. So you've got to take that opportunity and try and get that first down and keep the ball away from that Miami offense.
Those are the last 3 scores for Miami. They're going to have to re-kick here. So Restrepo and Smith will get another opportunity potentially to run it out. But the kickers nowadays, and Nikolai Daniels is the kickoff specialist for Bethune-Cookman, they're so good at this. It's rare to see any of them brought out. We saw Keyshawn Smith bring one out at the 1, which honestly was kind of strange. You don't see a lot of guys field them inside the 5-yard line, but he was able to bring it out for 70 yards. That just goes to show you what kind of an athlete he is.
Well, when you've got, players with balance, vision, change of direction, elusiveness, and fearlessness, you're going to get those types of plays. And that's how you become a special team that competes for championships, when you can make special plays, when you can do what other teams can't do or wouldn't dare do, which is bring the ball out of the end zone.
So Nikolai Daniels getting ready to kick it off again. .634 here to go. Miami's offense rolling as we showed you there. Tyler Van Dyke likely to get the ball here again. And here's the kickoff from Daniels. And Smith will field it inside the 5. Smith has plenty of room to run, and he's still going. Tripped up near the 45-yard line. Keyshawn Smith making a huge impact on special teams today. A 42-yard return for the youngster from Miami.
And that's why you make them kick it again. They've got a real good special teams play right here. He's following Restrepo up the field. He's untouched until he gets to about the 45-yard line. Great job by special teams by Miami.
So the San Diego kid from Lincoln High School in San Diego doing his thing for the Miami Hurricanes. So Van Dyke with the ball at his own 46-yard line. 4 receivers out there for Miami. Van Dyke, plenty of time, throws it over the middle to Mallory, and he catches it inside the 35-yard line. We hadn't seen Will Mallory yet. Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator from Miami, is a huge Will Mallory fan. There's a flag on the play, 18-yard gain if it stands. He told us, I wish I had 85 Will Mallorys on my team. He's that important to their roster. This one could be against the Canes here, potentially.
And those receiver downfield. Number 85, offense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
So Mallory, the tight end, was deemed ineligible on that play.
And for Miami, he was uncovered, and when you're uncovered, you have to stay back. So that's what happened on that play. But at the same time, watch this Bethune defense. What I'm seeing is the linebackers are sitting back. They're not bringing pressure. They're not getting pressure with the 4-down linemen. If you're not getting pressure with those 4-down linemen, you've got to bring linebackers down, and you've got to get them involved in the play, because they're sitting back, but there's still open zones for Van Dyke to go at the football.
Miami at their own 41. Van Dyke with the play action, rolling to his right, and throws it away smartly there.
But they were finally able to get pressure, force him outside of the pocket, get him out of his comfort zone. Once again, you cannot let him sit back there and pick you apart. And they did a better job of covering up receivers on that play. If you're going to sit back in zone coverage, you've got to make sure you eyeball these receivers. Although you have a zone to cover, if you've got guys in your area, you've got to be able to react to the ball coming out and coming towards them.
Mason Hall with the pressure there, and here comes Thaddeus Franklin bowling his way into Wildcat territory. An 11-yard gain there for the big fella. Thaddeus Franklin from Chaminade Madonna High School.
And a good job by the offensive line to get around the edge, get up the field, get pushed. They've got pulling guards. They've got a tight end pulling around. A good job by Elijah Arroyo to get up in the hole and give Franklin the space that he needed to get up the field.
3rd and 4 at the Wildcats 48. Van Dyke with plenty of time finds Restrepo. Restrepo gets the first down and keeps the chains moving for Miami. A gain there of 6 yards.
Too much time. You're rushing 4. They've got 5 offensive linemen. You've got to find a way to get pressure. You've got to take some chances. One of the things we talked about with the Bethune coaching staff and Coach Hayes is how comfortable are you playing man on the outside and bringing pressure. And he said, we know we're going to have to do that. They need to start doing that.
Handoff to Franklin. He bounces outside, still going, breaks some tackles, makes some guys miss, and he gets near the 15-yard line, down at the 16. A monster gain for Thaddeus Franklin. Devontre Hampton trips him up, and the Canes are in the red zone.
And for Miami fans, this is shades of Donnell Bennett. He's just a big guy that keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. You know, he's one of those guys you've got to thump, you've got to wrap, and then you've got to tackle.
A 26-yard gain for Franklin. Van Dyke in the gun. Getting some messages from the sideline. Van Dyke, plenty of time. Pump fake. Oh, he's got Restrepo open for the touchdown. Easy pitch and catch to his roommate, Xavier Restrepo, a 16-yard strike, and just like that, Miami is up 34-10.
And I don't know how more wide open you can be if you're Restrepo. Great job on the ball fake by Van Dyke. It fooled the entire defense, and you saw the defender, you know, reacting late and trying to get over there, but by that time the ball was in the air, and all Restrepo had to do was squeeze the football.
So here's Borregales with the extra point. And you mentioned it, Forrest. I don't know how more wide open he could have been, but boy, was he wide open on that particular play, as you see here.
You see the pump fake right there. And it's almost like he just pump fake because that's what the play called for, because there was nobody there for him to pump fake for.
For more, let's go to Maryland on the sideline.
Tyler Van Dyke said plays like that one are his absolute favorite thing about the new offense that he's playing in. He said, knowing that we're going to run the ball so much more, create that balance, and then hit the defense when they least expect it is what I'm most excited about this season, and we saw it.
Yeah, Maryland, absolutely. What a connection those two have. Now you see why they room together, and according to Coach Gaddis and Coach Cristobal, they do everything together. They're roommates, they eat together, they golf together. They are incredible with their synergy.
And for Miami fans, they hope that they score a lot of touchdowns together throughout the rest of this season.
Absolutely. We've got more from Maryland on that connection. Maryland, what do you got?
All I want everyone at home to know is what Tyler Van Dyke wants everyone at home to know. He said he's not going to do a lot of smack talking this season, but when it comes to him and X, TVD is the better golfer, he says, and he doesn't want to be cocky, but it's just the truth. He says it's on the scorecard.
All right, yeah. Look, score doesn't lie. The ball don't lie. So the kick by Borregales into the end zone, and the Wildcats will begin their next drive at the 25-yard line. I have yet to get into golf, and here's the reason, big fella. They say once you get into it, you can't give it up. You get obsessive about it. And I have that kind of personality. I'm a maniac when it comes to stuff, so I am absolutely not touching golf for a while.
Two reasons I haven't gotten into it. One, I tried to go to a hitting range when I was in high school, and I threw my back out.
Oh.
And then two, I would probably have a worse golf swing
than Barkley? No, listen, my guy Charles, shout out to Charles. He's worked on that swing now. It's nowhere near as bad. It used to have a pretty terrible hitch. Not the case anymore. So the Wildcats with the ball here at the 25-yard line. Franklin back in at quarterback. And the handoff to Quayshawn Bird. Bird picks up 2 yards there. It'll be 2nd and 8 coming up at the 27-yard line.
And I know I've labored on it throughout the first half, but I just don't understand Franklin being in the ball game. Nothing, you know, against him, but they've had much more success with Jones in the ball game. And if you're still trying to compete, you got to keep your guy in that's been able to make big plays for you.
Franklin in the gun. 4 receivers out there. Averett in motion. The big tight end. Handoff. Nope. Play action. And now they get it to Averett, but he is wrapped up immediately by Corey Flagg, the middle linebacker from Miami.
Well, you make it easy for the defense when you've got a 6'6", 250-pound tight end going east and west when you get him the football. You want him getting the football with his shoulders square going north and south. That is not where he's most effective. When you're going east and west, you've got to get it to your quicker backs, your speed guys that can get to the outside.
So a loss there of 3. Third, and let's call it a long 10 from the 24-yard line for the Wildcats. Again, Miami up 35-10 here at Hard Rock Stadium in the first half. Averett again in motion. Pressure coming. Franklin cannot escape as he is wrapped up by Akeem Mesidor. A sack for the transfer from West Virginia.
Well, watch the offensive tackle. He's reaching. You've got to sit down in your hips. You've got to kick 3 kick steps back. At that 3rd kick step, you've got to take that inside hand and get inside punch. When you reach out with that outside hand, you're giving up that outside shoulder. And when you've got a pass rusher like Mesidor who's focusing to get to that edge, you're giving him a short corner.
And Kevin Steele, the DC, giving him some love there on the sideline, as well as his defensive line mate, Jafari Harvey. A loss of 8 there and his first sack of the day.
Mesidor's made some big plays throughout this afternoon. He jumped up and had the tip ball on the interception, pick 6. Now he makes a big sack on 3rd down.
So whistles are blowing, and that's
delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
I was about to say that was good news for Bethune because it looked like Miami could have blocked that. That's their 8th penalty of the game, the Wildcats. And now, forget about being on the doorstep of their end zone. They're going to have to punt from their end zone now. So Benjamin Lennon, the Utah transfer, to punt here. Punts it away. And Restrepo knocked back immediately there. Tackle made by Isaiah Williams. I mentioned Lennon, the punter, is a Utah transfer. I'm looking forward to that Utah-Florida game tonight.
That's a very interesting ball game for the Utes. You know, you've got a very tough ball club. They play physical football, but you've got a lot of excitement with Coach Gillespie in that Florida program, and playing down at Florida is one of the most difficult tasks for any ball club.
Yeah, the Swamp is not an easy place, that's for sure. And Utah won the Pac-12 last year, favored to win this year. They defeated Mario Cristobal's Oregon team last year. Tyler Van Dyke with the ball, play action. Plenty of time, throws over the middle, and it's caught by Restrepo. A 16-yard gain for Xavier Restrepo. Christian Jackson with the tackle there for the Wildcats.
Too much time. You know, you give Van Dyke that type of time. Restrepo comes from the opposite side of the field. He allows, when you've got that much time, you allow for plays to develop.
Ball at the 35 here. Miami again trying to get another score. Pitch there to Parrish. Parrish gets to the outside and out of bounds near the first down marker at the 25. He steps out just before, so a gain of 9. Joshua Thornhill pushes him out of bounds for the Wildcats.
And once again, you see the speed of Parrish and the ability to step out of those potential arm tackles and get positive yards.
So it'll be 2nd and 1 here for the Canes. Mallory in at fullback now for Miami. Play action. Van Dyke finds Mallory. Headed towards the boundaries at the 20. Cuts back. Look at the big fella showing off those fancy feet as he picks up a first down and then some.
Now you see the difference in that play to Mallory versus the play to Averett earlier. Mallory is moving more north and south. He's up the field.
We do have a flag on the play. Let's take a listen here and see what that's all about, partner.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12 players on this field in the snap. The penalties decline. Going to play is a first down.
So tell us again about Mallory.
Once again, you allowed Mallory to get north and south as soon as he touched the football because he's turning his shoulders as the ball arrives. When you look at the play to Averett, he was still east and west. He was not able to turn and get up the field. When you've got bigger receivers, you want to give them the option to get north and south.
And he finds Mallory again near the 10. Mallory escapes and gets near the 5-yard line. Another first down for Miami. an 11-yard gain for the Canes.
And if you're number 9, Caleb Sutherland, what do you expect? I'm 6 foot, 190 pounds, and I've got a 6'5", 250-pound tight end coming at me. So he did the best that he could to get him down.
So it'll be 1st and goal from the 5-yard line for Miami in the pistol formation. Hand off to Parrish, bounces it outside, and in the end zone again. The 3rd touchdown of the day for Henry Parrish Jr. And Miami extends their lead to 41-10.
And as an offensive lineman, you love running backs like Parrish because he makes you look good. With his jump cut ability, his ability to stop and go, his ability to bounce it out to the outside. I mean, all of those things are intangibles that all backs would love to have. And he's shown that ability throughout this afternoon.
That's Miami's 4th touchdown drive today of 5 plays or less. So Borregales with the extra point. It is up and good. And just like that, Miami, they were up 18 after Bethune scored, and they've gone back-to-back touchdowns to extend their lead to 32 points with 39 ticks left on the clock here in the first half, Forrest.
You're starting to see attrition set in. You know, a lot of the Bethune players are tired. They look a little bit gassed right now. You know, defensively, these guys have been on the field. Although there have been short drives, there have been a lot of them. And, you know, you're starting to see guys with their hands on their hips and guys get a little bit tired.
Well, it doesn't help, at least early on in this game, that the opponent in this stadium is baking in the sun, whereas the home team gets the shade.
It is greatly designed.
Listen, it's smart by the home team.
Absolutely.
The Dolphins do the same thing at this stadium. The shadows are starting to creep in a little bit on the other side, but I would say 2/3 of that sideline is still well in the sun.
And when we kicked off at 3:30, there was a lot more sun on this side of the field.
Absolutely. And you see there's still plenty of sun on the opponent's sideline here at Hard Rock Stadium. So Borregales set to kick off. And it is fielded at the 1-yard line and taken out of bounds by Dees after about a 21-yard gain, let's call it. So 35 seconds left. If you're Coach Terry Sims of the Wildcats, what do you want to do here?
Take a knee, go in, regroup. You know, right now, you know, your team is reeling. Miami's in a rhythm. And what you don't want to do is try and get a big play and give up a big play. You know, give up a turnover, give up an easy score. You know, you're down big right now, and you want to make sure that you stay, you know, somewhat in the ball game as far as your team continuing to compete and not just give up.
Ferguson hands it off to Bird, who bounces it to the outside. A flag on the play. He picks up 5 yards, maybe 6, but we'll see what the infraction is.
Holding, number 70, offense, half the distance to the goal line. Repeat, 70.
And that's Desmond Daniels again.
And he's having a tough outing today. You know, he's playing against some defensive ends that are getting up the field, and when you're trying to get to the outside, a lot of times you're grabbing that outside shoulder, trying to keep in contact with those defenders. You've got to push, you've got to roll your hips, you've got to get your body under that block, you've got to get inside hands, and you've got to keep your feet moving.
Franklin in at quarterback still. Hands it off up the middle, and it looks like Miami wrapped him up at the line of scrimmage. Quayshawn Bird, and that'll do it for the first half here for Miami and Bethune-Cookman. So our score here at halftime: the Miami Hurricanes lead the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats 42-10. We'll get back to the ACC Network studio with Jordan Cornette and the guys. They'll have plenty to talk about with today's action in the ACC and this contest right here from Hard Rock Stadium. Make sure you stay tuned to JC and the boys in a moment. We welcome you to ACC Network Football presented by Dr. Pepper. A beautiful day here in South Florida. Of course, the beaches are always packed here year-round. And inside this stadium here at Hard Rock, Tyler Van Dyke and company, Mario Cristobal and his Canes head coaching debut have taken control. They lead 42-10 as we get ready for the start of the second half. And they have absolutely scored in a variety of ways, Forrest.
And yes, they have. You see early in the ball game, they got the rushing attack going, and you see Henry Parrish right here up the middle, basically untouched until he crossed the goal line. And then defensively, off the tip pass, Frierson with the pick six. A good job of following his defenders, his teammates down the field. They ushered him into the end zone, and that was the turning point. And right here, Van Dyke, hey, let me throw the ball to my roommate, Restrepo, and they're still looking for a defender to cover him up. He was so wide open on that play.
George Sedano, Forrest Connolly with you here at Hard Rock Stadium. Let's go to the third member of our broadcast team, Marilyn Payne.
Mario Cristobal said that in the first half in particular, his team was undisciplined on pass rush. He said we've also got to do a better job of substituting on defense to clean up some of the sloppiness on that side of the ball. Offensively, he said we've got a lot we need to do. The biggest thing that he wants to see is his team convert these short runs, these short pass plays for much bigger yardage. He says if we're disciplined, we have big plays nonstop in this second half, but it's about those fundamentals, and he's not seeing them the way he wants to right now.
So, Forrest, what do you make of the coach's comments as he told them to Maryland?
I think those are great comments. He's not satisfied. You know, they're doing a good job. They're winning the football game. But in order to be where they want to be, in order to be the Miami of old, the team that beat up other quality teams, other big-time programs, and to win championships, they've got to perfect everything on the field, and that is what he's looking for. Van Dyke's had a pretty good ball game, but he wants to see better. You have to continue to push your players. Do you want to be good, or do you want to be great?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And look, he's talked to us about how they've thrown a lot at these kids from spring ball to fall, and they've all bought in. And they've handled the physicality, the extra physicality well. Miami was a little bit more of a finesse team the last couple of years. They are back to being traditional Miami Hurricanes football type players and type of and style of play.
Well, it starts with trust. When you trust your coaching staff, when you trust your administration, when you trust your teammate, that's when you get the best out of everyone.
Kickoff here by Nikolai Daniels. Received by Keyshawn Smith. Smith at the 30. Still going at the 40. Flags on the play. He's in Wildcat territory. To the 30. Breaking down the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Keyshawn Smith. 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. We'll see about the flag in a moment.
Whatever the penalty is, it was egregious because there are two flags on the field.
Personal foul. Chop block.
But they're calling that on Bethune.
Yeah. Yep, so is the touchdown going to stand? Because Miami's celebrating now all of a sudden, and Mario Cristobal will have a word.
I'm trying to figure out how you call a chop block on the team that doesn't have football.
I don't get that either. He may have pointed the wrong direction. We'll find out.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Number 32, kicking team during the return. The result of the play is a touchdown. 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Well, there you have it. The touchdown stands.
I don't consider myself a rules guru, but I don't know about, I don't think I've ever seen that called.
Isaiah Dolby of Bethune Cookman gets penalized. I've never seen that either. And look, I've just watched football for 40 years. You actually played it.
I played the game. I've just never seen that call.
So Keyshawn Smith continues to put up huge numbers in the return game today, though.
Well, you know, if you're Bethune, why are you kicking the ball to mine? I would, you know, squib kick or something. Let's see if we can see it on this play. I think I saw it.
It might have been, yeah.
I saw it right when he made the cut to come back across the field. A Bethune player came flying in and hit a Miami player low.
Wow. It goes from bad to worse for Bethune-Cookman.
Watch right there. You see right there, that block right there.
Yeah.
Number 32.
Yeah, it was a block on, it looked like Michael Redding for the Canes, who got taken out by the knees. So Miami puts up another touchdown, 6 seconds off the clock on a kickoff return.
But you've got to think, Miami's been getting big returns all afternoon. Why continue to kick the football to them?
And they're reviewing this. They're trying to check to see if he stepped out of bounds.
I thought he stepped out right there. Yep. But still a great effort to try and tiptoe down that sideline. And once again, you're seeing, the speed, the quickness, some of the things that have been missing. And big plays on special teams. I think out of everything that I've seen so far out of this Miami ball club, Tyler Van Dyke is as advertised.
After further review, the runner stepped out of bounds at the 17-yard line. The penalty for illegal block below the waist will be enforced at the distance to the goal line. First and goal, Miami.
So it will now be a 72-yard return. There you have it.
You see right there. But one thing I will say, we know Tyler Van Dyke, he's been as advertised. Precision passing, big arm, does a really good job of reading defenses. But outside of him, special teams has been, very, very good for this Miami ball club. And that is something I think they can hang their hat on right now.
So Tyler Van Dyke will start the second half as Miami takes an opportunity here in the red zone. Handoff up the middle to Parrish. Parrish inside the 5 and taken down near the 3-yard line.
And Parrish did not get touched or see any defender until he got to the second level of that defense.
So it'll be second down and goal from the 3. Van Dyke is going to be under center now. We haven't seen much of that. Tight formation. Fumble. Ball's on the ground. And Bethune says they've got it. And they do. So a miscue by Miami. Jaquan Jackson comes up with the fumble there.
And you know what, George, what I want to mention for young players, on that kickoff return, he was going in for a touchdown. Well, let's watch this play first. You see, the quarterback, Van Dyke, never got possession of the football, and that's probably because he's not under center often, and quarterbacks just aren't used to getting the ball from the center in the center quarterback exchange. But if you rewind back to that kickoff, because Bethune did not give up, and they were able to force the player out of bounds, they were able to make a play and get the ball back for their offense. So for young players watching this football game, always keep your head in the play and continue to play throughout the play, because a big play can happen if you do that.
Jalen Jones back at quarterback now from his own 6-yard line. Play action. And the ball looks like could be loose here again. There was a pitch and catch there to number 13, Davino Ellington. But they'll say he was able to hold on and get it back. Cam Kitchens there on the tackle. So a first down there for Bethune-Cookman. So now the ball's on the 16-yard line after a 10-yard gain. Play action. Jones again finds another receiver, but the ball gets popped out. Receiver was able to get it back after it popped out. It fell right back in his chest. That was Dylan Lee, a 15-yard gain for the Wildcats.
And you got to squeeze that football. A good job by the Miami defender, Cameron Kitchens, putting the helmet on the football. That's how you're taught to tackle. Put a helmet or a shoulder pad on the football.
So the Wildcats on the move here at the 31-yard line. Jones takes off up the middle, and he will slide after what looks to be about a 4-yard gain. And we got an injured player there for Miami. Number 56, Leonard Taylor. We'll pause here for a moment and check in on Taylor. We'll be back at Hard Rock Stadium in just a moment. Miami leading Bethune Cookman 42-10 here at Hard Rock Stadium. And Forrest, this is the play you were talking about, where Bethune kept themselves in the play.
Well, you see number 48, Eddie Walls. He does a good job just getting a fingertip on the ball carrier and forcing him to step out of bounds, not giving him the balance that he needed to get to the end zone. And that is a turnaround play, because you saw the next play from scrimmage, Van Dyke fumbled the snap from the center, and Bethune-Cookman was able to recover the football and give it back to their offense. So for young players watching, continue to play throughout the play.
And at least some decent news, perhaps, with Leonard Taylor as he walks off on his own power. He was down for a while, though, throughout that entire break.
And that's great to see from Miami fans, because he is a key card for the defensive line, and you don't want to see him get hurt on a play like that.
They love his athleticism from that position. So Jalen Jones has the ball at the 35-yard line, and it is 2nd and 6. Jones under pressure and wrapped up. He was able to get maybe a half a yard.
And the player that came in for Taylor, Jared Harrison Hunt, is able to make that play. And that's what you want to see. When you bring a guy into the ball game with fresh legs, he should be able to make plays. You see him able to get off of the engagement with the offensive lineman and get over and make the play. But for Bethune-Cookman, you cannot allow Miami to get pressure on your quarterback with 4 pass rushers and 7 back in coverage.
Harrison Hunt played 11 games last year from New York, King High School. Here's Jones on the run, being chased by Jafari Harvey. He takes off. He's at the 40. And down near the 45-yard line will pick up the first down.
And Jones continues to impress me with his ability to feel pressure from the backside and know when it's time to tuck and run. Watch, he's looking down the field. He feels the pressure. He gets to the outside. He doesn't see anything. He knows to get north and south, get just enough for the first down, and get down and don't take any unnecessary contact.
A gain of 8 there as he picks up the first down. So ball on the 44-yard line of the Wildcats, pistol formation. Play action again. Jones with time, goes down the field to Marcus Riley, who catches the ball inside the 15-yard line, and down at the 13, a big strike from Jones to Riley. 45 yards on that play for the Wildcats.
And Riley beat Tyreek Stevenson off the line of scrimmage, and Jones allowed him to get down the field. And you see Stevenson trying to catch up. He knew he had a step on him. And once again, we talked about the speed on the outside. That has shown itself throughout this afternoon with the Bethune wide receivers being able to get separation.
1st and 10 from the 12-yard line of Miami. Wildcats in the red zone. Miami showing blitz. And they bring it. Jones throws over the middle. Incomplete, intended for Kamari Averett. Cam Kitchens on the coverage, but a flag on the play.
And you see Jones fussing at his center because that was a bad snap.
Pass interference. Number 24, defense. The ball replaced at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
And enough cannot be said about Jones and his poise, because watch the snap. He's able to gather the snap back and put a pass out there that allows for them to get a first down because of interference from the defender.
Great job there by Jones. So now the ball is on the 4-yard line, 1st and goal from there. Another snap that was errant. Jones throws to the end zone to Kamari Everett, but out of bounds, could not get a foot in bounds, even though he did make the snap. So second down and goal coming up.
Good job by the offensive line, giving Jones what he needed as far as time. He just ran out of room for Everett. You see Everett stretching, but he just could not keep that foot down. I like the play call. He just needed a little bit more room.
Jacob Lichtenstein, the USC transfer, on the pressure for Miami. So second and goal from the 4. 2 men in motion, including Averett for the Wildcats. Here's Jones throwing for Averett, but sails out of bounds. So it'll be third down, and it looked like a little bit of a miscommunication there.
Well, I don't like that play because you've got Averett spread wide, you've got a slot receiver next to him, so it's a lot of people in that area. I want to see Averett on the side of the field by himself with a defender and let him play basketball out there. Throw the ball up, let him box him out, and go up and get the football.
He is built like a power forward, that's for sure. But I hear you. You want him on an island. And there's a timeout on the field for Miami. So we'll take a break. We'll see what happens here on third down for the Wildcats. Miami leading by 32 here at Hard Rock. Coming up at 8 Eastern, we cap the day with Louisville and Syracuse at the Dome. Available on the ESPN app so you can watch anywhere. As Miami leads 42-10 here at Hard Rock Stadium against Bethune-Cookman. The ACC is full of great quarterback play, including Malik Cunningham from Louisville.
And I think not enough people are talking about Malik Cunningham. You think about Lamar Jackson and what he was able to do during those great years, Teddy Bridgewater during those years for Louisville, Brom during his time at Louisville, and now you've got Malik Cunningham. And, I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson, but he showed splashes of what Lamar used to do when he was there at Louisville.
Absolutely. He's a talented fellow, that young man, Malik Cunningham. It's the 9th play of the drive here for Bethune-Cookman. Third down and goal from the Miami 4-yard line. Jones takes the snap. In trouble, throws over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Darryl Powell. That's 3 straight incompletions for Jones. It's 4th down, and the kicking team is coming out.
And I thought Jones missed Quayshawn Bird on that play. He was out in the flat. Nobody from Miami went with him. And even if there's a player out there, he has the speed and elusiveness to get to the end zone if you get him the ball in space.
Are you surprised they're going to kick the field goal here?
Well, at this point, you're not going to win the football game. You want to get your kicker some live action. So I get it. Me personally, I'd go for it. But I'm an offensive lineman.
20-yard attempt for Magadam. Kick is up and good. So Bethune-Cookman gets on the board. It's 42-13 right now. So Bethune-Cookman getting some opportunities here, right? They are absolutely putting themselves in position to, learn from this experience. Now, on the flip side, what can Mario Cristobal take away from this experience thus far with a half and change into this game?
Well, you've got to correct the mistakes. You've got to eliminate the miscues. You've got to take this opportunity to get some young players some live action. In preseason and fall camp, you're not really going a lot of live action because you want to keep players healthy. And players, there's a lot of familiarity when you're practicing against someone every single day. But when you play against someone you haven't played against, there's a real opportunity to get live action.
And here's Mario Cristobal, recruited by Jimmy Johnson. Played for Dennis Erickson here, and of course an assistant coach. And there's also the graduate assistant prior to that, obviously, when Coach Butch Davis was here.
Well, think about this. You've coached and been around Jimmy Johnson,
Dennis Erickson,
Butch Davis, Nick Saban.
He likes to call it, he told me this, it's like a PhD in football.
Absolutely. You've learned from some of the best, if not let's go ahead and say Nick Saban is the best ever coach in college football.
Correct.
Championships alone. And then you've got Jimmy Johnson, who is the best ever coach at the University of Miami.
And here's the thing. Jimmy Johnson is the guy that coaches like Bill Belichick come visit to pick their brain. And we've got a short kick here. Miami fields it. Eli Arroyo gets it near the 25-yard line.
But think about this. Coach Mario could call, the night before the game. Last night he could have called Nick Saban, Jimmy Johnson, Butch. Hey guys, can you give me some,
Yeah. So many resources.
So many resources.
And by the way, forget about those guys, which is a great point. Look at the resources he's got on this staff, right? Or part of the program. Ed Reed is the chief of staff, Hall of Famer. He's got Alonzo Highsmith, college football Hall of Famer.
Who left an NFL personnel job to come back home.
They've got Jason Taylor, an NFL Hall of Famer with the Dolphins as an analyst here.
Who has no history of being connected to the University of Miami. But what he brings to the table is, a teaching to those outside players.
Henry Parrish Jr. breaks free and he gets into Wildcat territory. Big run there. 23 yards for Henry Parrish Jr.
And to go back to Jason Taylor, when you're playing defensive end, outside linebacker, and you're a pass rusher, and you've got long arms, you need to know how to use those long arms for leverage. And he's able to teach those guys and give them something. And one thing the coaching staff talked about, you've got a guy that doesn't have to prove anything, but he's the first here and the last to leave. And then Ed Reed, to me, is the best safety to ever play in the NFL.
There's a lot of history here at this school. Here's Henry Parrish again.
Well, think about this, George. When you talk about history in the NFL and some of the best players to ever play a position, Ray Lewis is arguably the best middle linebacker to ever play in the NFL. Yeah. Ed Reed is arguably the best safety to play in the NFL. The great late Sean Taylor would have definitely been one of those players you're talking about.
And I know he may be watching the game somewhere, so I don't want to dismiss him as well. The playmaker, Michael Irvin. No one is more you than the playmaker. Here's Tyler Van Dyke trying to make some plays. He gets it to Michael Redding. Redding down the sideline, picks up the first down and then some.
And when you look at the Ring of Honor, Jerome Brown,
the late
Russell
great
Maryland.
Jerome Brown, yes.
Yes, I mean, Warren Sapp. I played against Warren Sapp. The quickest first step I've ever seen in football.
Parrish, by the way, 13 carries, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns today. Thaddeus Franklin checks in now in the backfield. And Jakari Brown is in at quarterback for the University of Miami now. Jakari is the 3rd string quarterback.
False start. Number 86, offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that trick play did not work, so Tyler Van Dyke is coming back in. But as you were mentioning, of course, the history, and that's why people here and around college sports have been talking about when will the U be back, and Mario Cristobal's words were, the U is back to work. That's all it is for now. Here's Van Dyke under pressure, rolling to his right, throws it away. Smartly throws it away there. And second down and long coming up. I mean, listen, you went to a school, you played against all these guys back then. You went to Florida State and had insane battles against this team.
Absolutely. Like I said, when you look at 3 techniques, find me one with a quicker first step than Warren Sapp. Find me one.
By the way, that's Van Dyke's 3rd incompletion of the day. Only 3 incompletions. He's got time here. Finds Arroyo, the tight end, and goes out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Here's some of the legends at the University of Miami. Legends camp earlier. Kenny Phillips, Jeremy Shockey, then Gregory Rousseau, who's in the NFL, Michael Irvin, the playmaker, Jalen Phillips with the Dolphins, John Feliciano, Alonzo Highsmith. Got John Beeson, Deion Bush, Dwayne Starks, and there he is, the playmaker.
The playmaker.
Michael Irvin. I love you, Michael. Here's Henry Parrish. You can't meet Michael Irvin and not just enjoy being around him. He is one of the most, his personality is infectious.
Well, he brings energy to the room.
Yeah.
I love it when he's on first take.
Yeah.
He's
Him
the
and
only
Stephen
person.
A.
He's the only person that can stick with Stephen A.
I'll tell you this, he is one. You know who's another one? My guy J.J. Redick.
Oh, yes, J.J. Redick,
Gives Stephen A. a lot of grief on first take.
But it makes for great shows, especially when those 3 are on together.
Yeah, absolutely. So first down for Miami after the Arroyo catch. They're inside the red zone. Parrish is now split wide. Empty backfield. Van Dyke with some time, throws over the middle. It is caught for a touchdown. Michael Redding. 16-yard pitch and catch from Tyler Van Dyke.
I'd like to see that play over, George. because if you look at the defender, he's got his left arm out reaching for the football. And I know if they come down with it simultaneously, the offensive player is going to get awarded the reception. But I have to wonder if he had more of that football than the offensive player.
It looked like it was close between the...
I mean, Redding came down, but I wonder when they came down did Redding have full control of that football? Because I don't know if that was simultaneous.
8 plays, 73 yards on that drive, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Borregales with the extra point, and it's up and good. So Miami extends their lead. They now lead 49-13. 7 touchdowns for Miami. The latest, Tyler Van Dyke to Michael Redding. The Canes are rolling in Mario Cristobal's debut. Welcome back to Hard Rock Stadium. Number 16, Miami, with a 39-point lead. Midway through the third quarter, George Sedano, Forrest Connolly, Marilyn Payne with you here in Miami Gardens as the Canes are getting ready to kick off to Bethune-Cookman again. And I'm guessing we're probably not going to see a ton more from the starting group for Miami. Maybe another series or so, as Borregales kicks it through the end zone, and Bethune will start their next drive at the 25-yard line. Coming up at 6:30 Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will be back to wrap up the afternoon games with highlights, breakdowns, and interviews with players and coaches. They'll also have a full preview of Louisville and Syracuse. That's the 8 o'clock Eastern game. Then after the Cards and Orange, we'll be back to wrap up the night right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. So we already saw Jakari Brown check in for a trick play. Maybe he'll get in later. Jake Garcia also is the backup. Highly touted Jake Garcia. Almost went to USC. Came to Miami instead.
They've got a really good quarterback room.
Oh, they do. There's no doubt. And I'm sure there's more to come with Mario Cristobal at the helm. So here's Jones. Tries to throw it into the flat to Quayshawn Bird. Incomplete. Wayman Steed in coverage there.
You know what, George, I want to give some HBCU love. When you look at what Florida A&M was able to do last week with the short squad, you know, some guys that weren't eligible against North Carolina. And we've seen a lot of positive things from this Bethune-Cookman ball club this afternoon. They had some drives where they were able to move the football up and down the field. So I think, you know, they're moving in the right direction.
As we talked about earlier, they had a rough season last year because they didn't play due to COVID, and then they only had 30 days to get ready for the season. This year, they've got a lot of FBS transfers into this FCS team, and I think they can be really good in the SWAC. Here's Jones over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Davino Ellington. So I do believe they can be really good. I think that if you look at Terry Sims' career, he's 80 and 35 for a reason.
Absolutely, and one thing that he does a good job of is beating Florida A&M University, one of the schools that people are expecting a lot from. He's done a real good job since he's been at Bethune-Cookman playing against that ball club. So I think they're moving in the right direction. They dealt with, you know, losing a recruiting cycle with COVID, and they've recovered very well.
Yeah. 80 and 35 overall, 36 and 30 at Bethune for Terry Sims. Here's Jones, throws over the middle, and it's caught! Daryl Porter on the run, dragging some Hurricanes inside the 30 near the 25-yard line. A big play, 48 yards there from Jones to Powell.
And you see Jones, he's flushed out the pocket, but he's keeping his eyes down the field. A really good pass to his receiver, Daryl Powell, and you see Powell able to fight off defenders and get down the field. All afternoon, Jones has shown an ability to get the ball vertical and do a really good job of putting his playmakers in a position to make a play after they get the reception.
So ball on the 27-yard line of the Canes, and as you've mentioned, Bethune has moved the ball well. Here's Quayshawn Bird making a couple of guys miss. Gets around the corner. Nice gain there of about 8 yards. tackle made by DJ Ivey for Miami, and they're in the hurry-up now, are the Wildcats. 2nd and 2 from the 19-yard line. A red zone opportunity here. Jones just throws it away. So, 2nd down coming up here. Check that 3rd down coming up here. And 2.
And this is definitely 4-down territory.
I was just about to ask you that. That was literally going to be my question. So I'm glad you answered that. You read my mind, partner. And so do you think you go with the pass here potentially if something is available, or do you just get the easy 1st down and then reset?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be easy 1st down.
Well, the easier 1st down, rather. Yes, fair point. Jones, play action, throws over the middle, too high for his intended target, Dakari Allen Johnson. So 4th down here.
What I would have liked to have seen from Bethune on that play is jet sweep. You know, you get those outside receivers moving and get them the ball in motion.
And they are not going to go for it here unless we see a fake. They have the kicking team out there.
Well, once again, I look at what they're doing. You're giving your kicker some live action. You know, they're trying to block the kick.
So
you're giving them an opportunity to practice, you know, what they hope he perfects as the season progresses.
High snap. The kick is blocked. The 36-yard attempt is blocked. The high snap, perhaps, was an issue there. So Miami gets the stop.
But if I rewind it and go back to thinking as an offensive lineman, I use this as an opportunity to challenge my offensive line. If you can't get us 2 yards, then what are we doing out here? I don't care who you're playing against. But you see the high snap. A good job by the holder to get it down. But you see the pressure coming in.
Jacob Lichtenstein got a big paw on there for Miami. Jacob, a South Florida kid, played at USC, transferred to Miami.
And very stoic by Coach Sims on that play.
And now Jake Garcia has checked in for Miami. And he throws underneath to Restrepo. Nice play there on 1st down for Miami.
One of the things you have to look at, too, when you miss a field goal or get a field goal block, when your offense has gotten the ball down the field, that can be demoralizing as well. So I think you have to look at that. But once again, you're getting good live practice for your your kicker. So you want to get as many reps as possible. But I like to challenge the offensive line. You know, you've got 3rd and 1. You're going to run. I'm telling my line, hey, we're going to run the same play. If we don't get it, show me something.
They've been fairly conservative. Thaddeus Franklin gets the ball here. He'll pick up the 1st down. Let's take a look at the block by Jacob Lichtenstein. What do you see here from the offensive line standpoint?
Well, you're getting pushed up the field. When you're playing field goal extra point, you have to take an inside step and you have to spread your wings and make yourself wide. You're going to have to engulf contact, but you've got to be able to hold your ground. You cannot give up pressure.
Garcia drops back. Pressure coming. He throws it complete to Brashard Smith. A pickup of 7 there.
And that was a good job by the young quarterback. Garcia standing tall in the pocket with pressure in his face. He didn't panic. He stood there and he was able to deliver a strike down the field. That's what you want to see from your young guys. How do they respond when pressure's coming in their face?
Garcia from Whittier, California. Again, many thought he'd be at USC, ended up at Miami. Hand off up the middle to Thaddeus Franklin, and he'll pick up the 1st down. A gain of 7 yards. So the ball now on the 47-yard line of the Canes. You're starting to see a good number of the 2nd team players now in for Miami. Garcia, plenty of time, looks to the sideline. It's caught by Frank Latson near the 40-yard line and out of bounds at the 35. And he is thrown down out of bounds after an 18-yard gain.
And you see right here, defensive back, you've got to stop, turn those hips, and get up the field. And don't wait on him. Go get the ball carrier. Once he gets the reception, don't wait on him to come to you. You got to go and make that tackle.
So here's Garcia again. Ball on the 35-yard line. Garcia in trouble. Throws it over the middle. Caught! A nice catch there by number 23 for the University of Miami. Great job there by Jaleel Skinner. The young man, the tight end. A 30-yard gain there. He spurned Alabama to come to Miami. And he's getting some action here in the second half.
And a good job by Garcia to sidestep the pass rusher. Allows receiver to break open and get the ball down the field.
So Garcia, ball on the 5-yard line, first and goal. Handoff up the middle. Does he get in? Yes! Touchdown! Thaddeus Franklin. And Miami pours on their 8th touchdown of the game. And they lead 55-13 against Bethune Cookman.
And once again, when you've got a big back like Franklin, you've got to thump, wrap, and tackle. First of all, they didn't get to thump. You got to thump and let them know you're there. Then you've got to wrap him up. And then you got to bring him down. You see the quarterback, Van Dyke, happy as another touchdown is put on the board for Miami.
Coach Feld also fired up there, the strength and conditioning coach. Garcia on that drive, 4 of 4 for 64 yards. Borregales with the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. So Miami rolling here as we near the end of the third quarter. A lead of 56-13, and Mario Cristobal chatting with his offensive line coach, Alex Mirabal, who they've known each other since they were in high school at Christopher Columbus High.
And once again, there's that trust. You got someone that you can trust is going to do what you need them to do to get the team where you need them to be.
And he's been with him at a number of places, including Florida International. Coach Cristobal's first head coaching job, and was with him at Oregon as well. Here's Tyler Van Dyke's numbers for the day. He's done for the day. 13 of 16, 193 yards and 2 TDs. And as I mentioned, Jake Garcia, 4 of 4, 64 yards at the moment. But yeah, you mentioned it. Look, and trust is a big factor here. And think about the guys that he brought over from Oregon. Joe Salavea, right? Comes over from Oregon. Coach Feld, who we just mentioned, the strength and conditioning coach. Coach Mirabal. There's a number of guys, and some other guys he's got relationships with. Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, knows him from their time together in Alabama. Spawned a friendship for many, many years. Same thing with Josh Gaddis, his offensive coordinator.
Well, there's a statement that is often used, and I think it perfectly fits what's going on right now when you look at the coaching staff, the commitment from local players that are staying home to play for the University of Miami, and that's knowing the assignment. And I think the coaching staff here, they know the assignment, and I think the administration knows the assignment. Look at the people that they're bringing in to be a part of this rebuild.
Let's take a look at the rankings here in college football, the preseason poll in the ACC, as the media voted who would win each division. Clemson at the top, not a surprise in the Atlantic. Miami in the Coastal.
Well, you look at the Coastal, North Carolina, they barely got out of a win today against App State. And then Pitt, they barely beat West Virginia the other night. So we don't know if they're going to be able to compete with this Miami ball club.
And Walter Simmons checks in for Bethune-Cookman there. Aaron Thompson on the run, a short gain. To your point, Pitt is the defending champion, and they got a decent amount of votes, but Miami, people believe that Miami should be the team to win the Coastal. They haven't won it as many times as one would have thought when they entered the conference back in 2004.
And not to take anything away from Pitt, because they did win the football game. Slovis is a very good quarterback, but we need to see more. Miami, we need to see more defensively. I think that Bethune has shown some things that they've been able to do and be successful with that other teams are going to try against Miami. So, there's still a lot of questions to be asked.
Number 62.
Excuse me.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
A lot of questions to be answered. I think offensively, we know what Miami has as far as speed on the outside, as far as what Van Dyke is able to do from the quarterback position. He has to continue to develop with his young receivers, but they're going to get some other guys back that aren't healthy right now.
6th false start of the day for Bethune-Cookman. Kyler Edwards with the infraction there. You mentioned the close calls in the ACC. NC State, who was second to Clemson in the Atlantic in that voting, also barely got by East Carolina, where Walter Simmons transferred from, who's the quarterback for Bethune at the moment. Handoff up the middle, bouncing it out to the outside is Aaron Thompson. Tackle made by James Williams. Here's another nail biter, as you mentioned. Now this looks like a basketball score.
Yes.
63 to 61.
And when you look at that NC State game, that's a rivalry game people don't really understand and know about, because Greenville is, close to Raleigh. A lot of those kids that play at NC State, that play at East Carolina, played with each other and against one another in high school.
Drake May with a big day in that one. So 3rd and 10 here, ball on the 25-yard line. And another flag on the play. Might be Kyler Edwards again, potentially.
False start. Number 62. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And it was 7th false start of the game for Bethune-Cookman.
Discipline. You're on the offensive line. You know the snap count. There's no reason you should jump off sides. You can't worry about what the defender's doing. If they're jumping towards you, you know the snap count. There are no excuses for that.
And now Miami can just kind of pin their ears back on 3rd and 15. They show a 5-man front, now dropping back. 4-man rush, and it is picked off! Picked off by James Williams. We talked about him early in the game, that he's built like a DN, and you saw him stretch out there, and he needed all 6'5" of his frame to make that happen.
And that was a great interception. He gave his body up to go and get that football.
Excellent job there by James Williams. Let's take another look at it.
See, he just flashed. See him? He's able to react, get that paw out there, bring the ball to his body, and squeeze it towards his chest.
Now, do you think that Simmons maybe took a little too long to get the ball out there? Because it felt like Davino Ellington was waiting there for a while.
Well, he eyeballed his receiver, so you gave Williams the opportunity to read the quarterback's eyes and react.
Isaiah Cashwell now checks in for the first time at running back behind Jake Garcia. Handoff up the middle. Still going inside the 10. Check that, Devon Perry. With the big run there, it gets them inside the red zone, an 18-yard gain.
And you're starting to see attrition set in. The Bethune defenders are tired. They're fighting right now. They're continuing to fight, but
Perry, another carry there, stood up at the line of scrimmage, perhaps gets one there. That's the end of the 3rd quarter, with Miami in control, leading 56-13. The conclusion on the other side. Welcome back to Hard Rock Stadium. On Perry with the carry, he gets in the end zone, a 4-yard score, and Miami continues to pour it on Bethune Cookman. Their 9th touchdown of the game. They lead 62-13.
Once again, Miami's getting pushed at the point of contact by that offensive line. They're doing a good job blocking, getting up the field, making the first contact. Usually the person that makes the first contact wins the battle. And that's what they're doing at the line of scrimmage.
So here's Borregales with the extra point. The kick is up and good. So Perry, what do you see here, big fella?
Well, I see the offensive line moving forward. I see defenders going backwards. And that's what you want to see in short yardage situations. Once again, you've got a channel when you're in practice and you're hitting that driving, that blocking sled, and you're chopping your feet and you're keeping a flat back. Coaches always talk about having a flat back when you're blocking on the sled and firing off. And when that second foot hits the ground, boom, that's when contact is made by your hands getting inside hands. And that's what you saw by the offensive linemen. Boom, on that second step, they've got contact and they're chopping their feet and they're pushing the defenders back into the end zone.
Davon Perry, the recipient of that great blocking you were just talking about, scores there. So 63-13. Jake Garcia's got to be wondering, well, wait, I want to get a little more run here. I don't want this thing to get too out of control.
It's a great opportunity. It is. It's a great opportunity for these young guys to get some live experience.
And the kick is into the end zone and knelt. Coming up at 8 Eastern, we cap the day with Louisville and Syracuse at the Dome. Available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. What do you like in this one?
I like Louisville. I think Louisville is an up-and-coming ball club. I think they're going to challenge Clemson in Atlantic Division. You know, the Atlantic Division is very, very interesting. You know, Clemson, they won 10 ball games last year, but it was a down year.
It was. It was.
You know, Florida State, we're going to find out who they are tomorrow night against LSU.
Because I think LSU is going to have a bounce back year. Brian Kelly is an excellent coach.
But it'll be interesting to see what Florida State's able to do with that three-headed rushing attack against LSU. I think that is their identity going into that football game. It'll be a hostile environment down in, you know, in New Orleans, basically a home game for LSU. But it's their first game with Brian Kelly. And how do they mesh with his coaching style? I think that is something that's going to be a sight to see because he's got a bevy of athletes. LSU always has athletes, especially on the back end of that defense. So it's going to be interesting if Florida State can establish that run against that LSU ball club.
Terry Lindsay with the carry there. Gets another one. Tries to bounce it out to the outside, but nothing doing there. We were just talking about LSU. Let's take a look at their quarterback situation. Two very talented players.
Well, Daniels, you know what he can do. We saw him at Arizona State. I mean, this kid was dynamic for Herm Edwards and his coaching staff. And, you know, you've got Nussmeier. You know, so you've got two very capable, able quarterbacks.
3rd and 6 here. Simmons under pressure, and he's wrapped up and sacked. A sack there for the University of Miami. Antonio Moultrie, the UAB transfer, brings him down.
And right there, the offensive line has got to do a better job. The guards in the center, they've got to be stout at the point of attack. You've got to pick it up, put it down, and not get pressure right in the quarterback's face. Because right there, he has nowhere to step up into the pocket. They did a stunt, and when you do that, the guards have to be able to disengage from the defender and get to that looping defender coming around the edge. That's why you've got to keep your eyes up. You've got to be able to engage and disengage, but you've got to be stout at the point of attack to allow the quarterback to step up into the pocket.
So the Wildcats forced to punt here. Xavier Restrepo set back to receive, and the Canes almost get to that one. Lennon punts it It takes a Canes bounce into Wildcat territory. Chase Smith almost got to that one. A 25-yard punt, 0-yard return. The Canes trying to put up more points on the board. We'll be back in a moment.
ACC Network College Football is presented by delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
You ever been jet skiing, big fella?
Absolutely not. I'm not built for that.
That's a wave runner. You can get on one of those. Come on.
Absolutely
How about
not.
you and I next time we go out there?
You've got to know your limitations.
And there's Lucius Stanley checking in for the first time. UAB transfer, just came to Miami this week and picks up 8 yards there on that draw play. I can steer one of those. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'll probably be next to you while you're steering it, looking at the person behind us on that jet ski. Once again, I've seen enough Jaws movies and all that type stuff. Nah.
Garcia hands it off up the middle again to Lucius Stanley. He picks up the first down and then some. As he gets 9 yards on that play. Check that, 11 yards. So Miami moving the ball here.
And Lucius Stanley looks a lot bigger than 6'1", 200 pounds. I mean,
yeah, and
he runs like he's about 220.
He runs hard.
And he runs hard.
And he also played with a ton of these kids that are on this roster at Miami. His dream was to play at the University of Miami. Ended up at UAB and finds his way here in South Florida now. And tackled well into the backfield is Davon Perry.
You remember DJ Dallas?
Of course.
They run alike to me. That power, hard.
You're saying Lucius Stanley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Run very hard, runs behind their pads.
Yeah. DJ Dallas now with the Seattle Seahawks, I believe, still. So Perry in the backfield now. 5-yard loss on that last play. So 2nd and 15 here from the 34-yard line. Here's Garcia, plenty of time. Finds his receiver, Romello Brinson, who spins and turns around and picks up a big chunk of yardage there, as it should be about a 10-yard gain. 3rd and 5 coming up.
And a good job by the second team unit on the offensive line. They're giving Garcia time. These guys practice together. And they're doing a good job at the point of attack, giving him the time he needs to look down the field.
You know what Mario Cristobal told me was that from the beginning when they got here during the spring, him and Coach Mirabal, the offensive line coach, they wanted all these guys to play, mix and match not only the positions they played, but mix and match the players, the personnel, so guys who were second-team guys played with first-team guys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's Garcia again, and another completion there, this time to Brashard Smith near the marker.
And what's impressive, the true freshman, Inez Cooper, 6'6", 350 pounds, number 55. When you're that big and can play offensive tackle, you've got some great feet out there. So, he's a dancing bear out there doing a pretty good job on the outside.
Have you ever really seen a dancing bear, though?
Absolutely, I was one. So
I'm sure Charlie Ward and Danny Cannell would confirm that.
I got to give some love to my big guy out there.
Inez Cooper, of course, young man from Alabama. Freshman, as you mentioned, along the offensive line for the University of Miami. Here's Perry. Nope. Play action. Dumped it down to Brashard Smith. Still running into the end zone. Touchdown. Flag on the play. If it stands, it's a 19-yard score on the screen pass.
Illegal block in the back from 88. Offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And it does not stand. So it'll be coming back. There you see it.
And you just did not have to do that.
Colby Young.
And when a player puts his hands up in the air, you're basically giving it away. You're telling the official, I didn't do it, but I did.
Yeah, don't tell on yourself.
9 more minutes.
There's a golden rule in football and in all sports. If it's not called, it's not a penalty or it's not a foul.
Well, we saw that earlier, right? With after multiple false starts by Bethune Cookman, it looked like Miami was furious because it wasn't called again. And Bethune got away with it in the first quarter. So Garcia takes the snap. Hands off again. This time to Stanley. And Stanley picks up about 4 yards there.
And I will say this, Desmond Daniels jumped off sides a couple of times, but he has a beautiful kick step. Absolutely beautiful. And he's got really good quick twitch movement. So once they get that, controlled as far as understanding the snap count, he's a guy that can, really do something good for them on the outside as an offensive tackle, especially on the backside.
2nd down and 6 here. Ball on the 15-yard line. Again, we've got Stanley, but this time he's going to lose big yards there. Conroy Cunningham brings him down in the backfield. Near the sideline.
When we look at this Miami ball club and the success that they've had with Parrish running the football, with Franklin running the football, you still got what I consider their lead back that we haven't seen, Jalen Knighton, who did some really good things last year when he was healthy.
Yeah, he warmed up today but did not suit up. Empty backfield here for the Canes on 3rd and 8. Ball on the 12-yard line. Garcia with time. Throws over the middle. Finds a receiver. And he's near the sticks. Should be enough for the first down. It's Khalil Brantley, the tight end. So they do get enough for the first down. So it'll be 1st and goal from the 9-yard line for the Hurricanes. And we are now getting deep down the depth chart on both squads here at the moment. Handoff up the middle. Terrell Walden, the 2nd, gets inside the 5 and down at the 3. They'll mark it at the 2. So 2nd and goal coming up. About 7 minutes to go. Miami just getting some work in for their guys, and you want to reward those guys.
Well, these are the guys that practice every day in fall camp. These are the guys that you're going to have to depend on if you have injuries.
Hand off up the middle to Walden again for the touchdown. And Miami, 10 touchdowns today against the Wildcats. And they lead 69-13. Nice.
And once again, a good job by the offensive line getting movement at the point of attack. You see all the white jerseys going backwards. You see flat backs from the Miami offensive linemen. That is what you want to see, especially when you got the 2nd unit in there. Guys that don't get to play often.
We've got a player down. Justin Michelle, one of the linebackers. And Bethune still has a decent amount of their starters out there. So we'll take a break as Justin Michelle goes towards the sideline. Miami up big here at Hard Rock. Miami leading 69-13 against the Wildcats here at Hard Rock Stadium. Deep into the 4th quarter. An offensive storm for the Canes. 10 touchdowns now. 1 defensive touchdown, 9 on offense on 10 drives. They have been very sharp on the offensive side, outside of 1 miscue where they fumbled the ball in the red zone. So Borregales getting ready for the kick here any moment. Lou Henley, the punter, who we haven't seen for Miami outside of holding for Borregales today. But he's an excellent punter. Here's Borregales. Kick is up and good. And just like that, Miami tacks on 1 more. They lead 70-13. We'll be back in just a moment from Hard Rock Stadium.
That stuff, bro.
Welcome in, Jordan Cornette with your Arby's Studio Update. Primetime matchup, Louisville and Syracuse, an hour and 15 minutes away from kickoff. Coach Scott Satterfield ready to take the show on the road with Malik Cunningham. Back to the real show, George Forrest.
Thanks, JC. Miami leading big here at Hard Rock Stadium in Mario Cristobal's debut. And this was the result I think most people expected. Bethune-Cookman surprised us, big fella, early in this game, despite a weird start with a lot of penalties, scoring very quickly.
Well, they showed us they've got some offensive ability, and they've got to iron a couple of things out, but I think they have a quarterback, Jalen Jones, that is very capable.
And I know you love Tyler Van Dyke. You didn't call him this, but you said he reminds you of John Elway.
Yes, with his size, his ability to get the ball down the field, and he keeps his eyes looking forward. Now, I do want to address something. I know we were talking earlier, and our producer got on me because I said hitting range as opposed to driving range.
Yes.
But semantically speaking, it is a hitting range.
Technically,
but you don't drive a ball anywhere. You hit it.
You do hit it. You do hit it.
So it's a hitting range.
Yeah. Semantics. I mean, you know. Walter Simmons is checked in.
That's all you got for me?
I mean, I'm just letting people know who's getting the ball here. Cameron Ingram gets the ball there. Now, I'm not a golf guy, so I didn't pick up on it.
Exactly.
So I was just like, whatever. And then all these texts start flowing.
I know.
Maryland and all the producers start checking it, and they're dragging you.
They're dragging me, so I had to address it.
Defend yourself. I got no problem with it, big fella. Listen, I ain't going to mess with you.
I'm an offensive lineman. We're a little bit smarter than the regular football.
Well, all the great, usually the highest Wonderlic scores are along the offensive line.
Absolutely. Well, we're the only position on the field that every single play is designed for us to hit somebody.
Corey Reed with the catch there. There's a flag on the play. Let's check out and see what the infraction is all about. I'm surprised we didn't see, though, more of some of the high-powered receivers. We saw Marcus Riley have a big catch, but Reed and Powell have been mostly quiet. Powell did have one touchdown.
Foul. Illegal block below the waist. Number 7 on the offense. At the distance to the goal line. Repeat, second down.
Well, I think because you've had so many different quarterbacks playing, you can't get into a rhythm. And so when you take your quarterback out that's been doing very well, like Jalen Jones was doing, when he gets back into the game, he's got to find that rhythm again with those receivers.
Well, I always felt the old adage of if you've got more than one quarterback, you really don't have a quarterback, you know, when it comes to college football. And I feel like if I were looking at them, and look, you played the game at the highest of levels, you won a national championship. I feel like Jalen Jones, to me, to your point, is the guy that I would go with.
Absolutely. To me, he's shown an ability to find the open receiver, stand tall in the pocket, and the moment is not too big for him.
Simmons connects there. Let's send it down to Maryland.
While we see this depth chart, we talked about being so deep in terms of what we saw this week out on the field. Right now, Miami's players at every position and every level getting opportunity to play. Kevin Steele with his starting linebackers, his starting defensive front, and his starting secondary is continuing to have conversations on the sideline as if they are still the ones going out there.
Thank you, Maryland. Simmons takes off. Still on his feet, making guys miss. And Simmons is trying to vie for that starting quarterback position. The ECU transfer, as we mentioned, East Carolina was in a battle today with NC State. Almost pulled that off.
And they've got some really good options at quarterback. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from any of the other young men that have been out there and that have played, Simmons and Franklin. I think they're very viable candidates to play that quarterback position. I just think today Jones has shown a little bit more than the other two guys.
So didn't pick up enough for the first down. It'll be 4th and 3, and the punt unit's out. As the Miami faithful have gone back out to the tailgating. Here's the punt from Lennon to Restrepo. So 4:22 to go here, a 36-yard punt. Miami will take the field one more time in a moment. Time now for Saturday Sounds, brought to you by Sonos. Mario Cristobal doing the walk with his team back here at the University of Miami. Two-time champion, of course, was a GA for Butch Davis, assistant coach under Larry Coker, and now the head man at the University of Miami. Here's Davon Perry with a big run. He'll pick up the first down. 13-yard gain there. You gotta imagine the emotions were swirling for Coach Cristobal, and I'm guessing good nerves, right? Not a lot of sleep and just kind of focusing on trying to make sure his team performs while taking in the moment. I'm sure he's got tons of friends and family here today too.
You have to understand the internal aggression that an offensive lineman has. And, you know, like I told you, offensive line is the only position that every single play is designed to go and find some work and hit somebody. So as a coach, he's got this internal aggression that he's got to release, you know, and you see it. You know, every play when the young man got the penalty after he made the interception and he slammed the ball down out of, you know, just utter joy of the first game. I make a big play. My family gets to see me play. You see Coach Mario over there on top of him going at it. But that's the internal aggression that offensive-minded, especially former offensive line coaches, offensive linemen have. That's just in us. So I get it. But he got what he wanted, first and foremost, which is the win. He saw some things that they need to correct. They've got time. They've got another game next week that I think is very winnable for them to correct before they make that big trip over to College Station to play in a very tough environment. But you have to be impressed with what you see so far. Everybody is as advertised. Tyler Van Dyke is as advertised. He was almost perfect.
13 of 16 today, Tyler Van Dyke and Coach Cristobal. I'm sure there will be plenty of things. You heard Maryland mention that Kevin Steele is still coaching the first team as if they were still in the game. And that's this staff that he's built. When you look at the staff, it's just incredible. You know, Kevin Steele's been through plenty of battles in the SEC. He was at Nebraska, obviously in the 90s as well. He's been around for a long time. And a close friend of Mario Cristobal, just like Josh Gaddis, who was the coordinator of the year last year at Michigan, is here. And all of them told us, Forrest, they're here because they believe in the vision of Coach Cristobal.
And out of everything that we've talked about with Coach Mario, with everything that we've talked about with what they want to achieve, the biggest word that I think that stands out about everything that's going on now is trust. The trust from the administration, the trust from the coaching staff, the trust from the players. When you trust and believe, you can accomplish.
I would say the other thing for Miami is culture, and he has started to establish a different culture. When I asked him about that during our meetings this week, he said it's of the utmost importance, both on and off the field for that matter. And he loves the fact that everyone on this team is bought in and everyone kind of wraps their arms around each other.
In that statement, I go back to it again. Put the hype aside. This is the 2022 Miami Hurricanes. Let's go get to work. That says everything. That encompasses everything that he is trying to do with this program. We can't worry about what it was in the past. You know, we have to be the future of the Miami Hurricanes.
Run there by Walden. And by the way, Jakari Brown is in this game as we're under a minute to go here.
And then, you know, too, the influence of this program. I mean, when they came out with the turnover chain, everybody adopted that and started to have all kind of things when they got turnovers. But nothing was like when Miami put that chain on. The energy in this stadium, I've been in here where they put that chain on and everybody goes crazy.
I was here for that Notre Dame game, and yeah, it was intense. Coach Cristobal's like, forget all that stuff right now. We got to get back to basics and get back to work. And today it's paid off, absolutely. Walden up the middle. Gets tackled near the 10-yard line, down to the 9.
And another coach that we haven't talked about that's on this staff is Charlie Strong.
Oh, absolutely. Linebackers coach. Who can be, he's been a head coach, he's been a coordinator at the highest levels of the best teams in the country.
Absolutely. And you talk about recruiting. You know, you got Coach Mario, you got Charlie Strong,
Gaddis,
Coach Steele. I mean, if Highsmith shows up at your house, if Ed Reed shows up, if Jason Taylor, my goodness.
and the embrace there, and the handshake from Coach Cristobal and Coach Terry Sims. Tyler Van Dyke, 2 touchdowns today. Coach Cristobal getting a win. First one is under his belt. I would imagine you kind of just take a deep breath now and you say, hey, first one's out of the way. Now we've got some film and we can kind of dissect whatever we think we can work on.
And coach our kids up. And, you know, the first game is always the toughest game because you really don't know what you got or what you have until you put it out on the field. And now you see what the product is. Now you see where the tweaks need to be made. Now you see who is going to step up and be that person for you outside of a Tyler Van Dyke and some of the known players.
That's the most points, 70 today, since their Savannah State game, as you saw in that graphic. And Coach Cristobal is with Maryland.
Work has been the focus for you all off season and leading into today. Where in the details did you see the hard work your team has put in show up today?
Probably in the physicality and the conditioning. You know, is the ability to just get our feet in the ground, come off the ball, the flat back, get our hands inside and move the line of scrimmage, and, you know, just get behind both fronts, you know. And, you know, the last 5-6 days of practice, we really made tremendous strides in throwing and catching, and that showed up as well. And then we had some busts that we got to clean up and some substitution errors that really are inexcusable. So the best part about it, you come up with a W, plenty to work on, but a solid start to the season.
What do you want to work on the most?
Well, again, cleaning up. For example, you turn loose a guy on 3rd down and whatever it was for when he brings 0 blitz, and that's been routine. We've done a good job of that in practice. We lost contain on the quarterback probably 4 times on 3rd down. You know, he broke cage and got out, and all of a sudden he made a 1st down. So we allowed a lot of big plays today that we can prevent. We also fumbled the ball on 1st and goal, right? Which is inexcusable. So that being said, there's plenty to work on. Solid start.
Solid start. Game 1 for you, returning to Miami as head coach here. At what point will you process that you are in this and you've got a win under your belt?
Well, I mean, when I was on the bus ride over, I just panned right down to my play sheet because we get on the freeway. I see where my house is, where my mom raised us. I see where my family, the cemetery we're there at. I see the church. I see where we went to school. I see where we played baseball, football. So come on, this is deep. You know, it's real, real deep, but just right back at it. It's all about these guys, players, this community, which is like none other. Everyone knows Miami's just different. So it's all about them, and I'm glad we could walk out with a 1-0 day today and that these fans had a good time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Go Canes.
Thank you, Maryland, and congratulations to Coach Cristobal on his debut here in Miami. The Canes win big. They'll take on Southern Miss next week and week 3 against Texas A&M. So for Forrest Connolly and Maryland Payne, I'm George Donato. Our final score, Miami 70, Bethune Cookman 13. Thank you again for tuning in to the ACC Network. We'll send it back to Jordan Cornette in the studio.